Good morning, folks, and what's happening out there in the sports world from around the world, Tampa, Philly, Spain, England, as the Paris Olympics gets ready to get fired up here. Tons to talk about. Yes, Pete will be back tomorrow. He is spending, of course, time with Chara as he should, him and his wife Elaine. So Pete will be back on air tomorrow, minus any other update. He will allow me, or at least let me know what he's planning on doing, but he is taking the time to make sure he is spending with Chara. MLB talk, NFL talk, WNBA. There is so much to go on, so much to pack into the show here as we get you off on a Tuesday morning here, July 23rd, 2024. And by the way, the only time I will bring up anything political will be who's running the country. We'll start not with that, but someone who once before said that they had kind of an issue with the anthem and then decided to retract their story. So that, tons of audio, a lot to get into as we start our morning here. Martinez coming to you live Monday through Friday from 10 to 12 a.m. The show starts now.
You bring the energy, he'll do the rest. Martinez and Company, powered by Sports Radio 102.9 The Game.
You're going to hear it right here.
The show starts now.
Yes, welcome, folks. And again, thank you, sports fans. Thank you, everyone who tunes in to Sports Radio 102.9 The Game. Don't forget to download the app on the website, directly from the website, sr1029thegame.com. Look on it. It's on the home landing page. Therefore, you guys won't miss a live show. You can hear the live audio. Speaking of, I still have to get something out to Jerry from Rhode Island to make sure he's able to hear the show throughout. But thank you all once again for tuning in. We do appreciate it. The NFL, a couple of things that came out already this morning. One is, and Derek Gunn had put this out on an X post, I tweet. I'm just going to keep saying it because it is what it is. But he had put out something earlier along with the NFL about extending now this season into week 18. We all know it was coming. We know this. When it went to week 18, the NFL loves to end the weeks on an even note. They don't like to end the week the way it's been doing on the odd, on the 17. They want an even. So what do I feel? And I'll get into that in a minute. But in my own opinion, what I think is what's going to end up happening is that we'll probably end up seeing, instead of now, like we see, 3 games in the preseason, it could possibly come down to 2 games in the preseason, right? And then like the extra kind of week of practice per se to make up for week 3, the preseason week, and then getting into the regular season. So does that mean now, well, the NFL season starts before Labor Day weekend? Because don't forget, if we add the additional week to the end part of the season, it's New Year's at that point. And then we're starting to get a little bit into the colder portion all over the U.S. So does the NFL then kind of almost teeter upon the college football season, as we all know starts in August? So is the NFL heading in that direction? We don't know. There's going to be a lot of things going on. The contracts are going to be talked about. They're saying this could be solidified before the current CBA talks are done. So there's a lot to unravel there. And I'm pretty sure as the days come along, we'll get to find out more and more. But do we see that the NFL could possibly, again, potentially start their season the week before Labor Day weekend, possibly, or extend it into January? I'd love to get your comments and your thoughts. Of course, the text lines and the phone lines are open, 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650 here at the headquarters in Tampa of the Coastal Sports Network. You guys can make your comments, of course, live on social medias. Oh, and by the way, if you do watch the live show on SR 102 Game, 1029thegame.com, as I put out there on Instagram as well, you guys can also put in your live comments on the live web player that's there as well. So plenty of ways for you guys and girls to make comments here on the shows. Also, the WNBA continues to heat up. Obviously, I think there's a lot of things that could finally be said. Are we done with the bashing of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, or Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark? Those two gelled so well together. Oh, and by the way, the All-Stars beat the Olympic team that is going to Paris, by the way. Beat them. Now, the question will still remain, does Caitlin Clark and possibly Angel Reese not being put? And I know there was a lot of things that come across saying that obviously they both had to have significant time in order to be put towards the Olympic team, right? We know this. It's not nothing that's not new. But is it now pretty debatable that maybe Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and or should have been put on this Olympic team? Don't know. But one person that's on that Olympic team had kind of, and I use the word loosely, kind of retracted what they had said just a couple years ago. And why did they recant of what they said? But getting back here, and I'll kind of put that as a little bit of a teaser, but getting back to the NFL, week 18, there's, of course, now, do we add an additional bye? How do we insert the buys now? Because you got to figure, to have your bye week, some teams get it early. I've always believed that in the NFL, again, just my opinion, what do I know? In the NFL, it should be that if you should have your bye week after week 10. Now I know they have to make adjustments, schedules, because of where the teams play. Are there additional events going on at said venues that, like in Kansas City or Philly or the Houston Texans or the Dallas Cowboys? So there's so many things that have to go into play when they do the schedules. But I think the later the buys that you have in the season, especially you have injured players, that takes a good toll. And even if your team is getting ready to make a run in or push into the playoffs. So I just want to know, how is everyone either comfortable or not with possibly going into an 18-game schedule? Now, excuse me. I know that Adam Schefter has talked about this along with on the Pat McAfee show, and I'll bring that up here momentarily of what their thoughts are. And as soon as the ad goes away, because plenty of people get a lot of free advertisement around here, but as soon as the ad goes away, I'll bring up that video. I'll also mention as far as the article that was just put out there this morning, because again, this was just something apparently that's been discussed sometime during the overnight, and we're just finding out now this morning. Also, Hassan Reddick, and I'll get into that little nugget as well, as he has mentioned. Let me pause this here so I'll be able to bring it up. And by the way, I say nugget, I'm not calling Hassan Reddick a nugget, meaning that little nugget of a story. He is now holding out because he wants to restructure his contract. So gone from the Eagles over to the Jets. By the way, Aaron Rodgers had also mentioned, and you guys are hearing an audio bite, what the New York Jets should actually be called. And of course, there's already a lot of criticism about Aaron Rodgers. The 2 days that he had missed, apparently it was okayed by the New York Jets organization on the reason why he had to take those 2 days off. And I know we kid around a lot about him and sperm whales and this, that, and dark rooms and finding, I don't know, silence, solitude, whatever you want to call it. He mentions of what the New York Jets, yet alone the New York Giants, should be called as well. If you guys have not heard that, I'll bring that up a little bit later on. But here's kind of the thought between Adam Schefter and I believe this may be, well, I'm going to hold off on that one because it might be a little bit different. But the NFL Players Association, the NFL have discussions at a very high level over the potentially adding of an 18th regular season game to the schedule. NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell told the Washington Post. Now, this, of course, is courtesy of ESPN. We have talked at a very, very high level, superficially, with a recognition about, this is something that we should be talking about. And we should really be kicking the tires and understand what else goes on to that decision-making process. Howell told the Post, where does the 18th game come from? I think the foregone conclusion is, well, you just grab it. Like, in what otherwise would be preseason games in August, you play it forward. Now, reading off this article again, and I did not read this article prior to making the comments that I had just made, but that's where they're going to have. Where else are you going to get it from? Think about it. You can't squeeze out another game from the regular season, so you have to take it away from the preseason. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of us that would love to see an extended NFL season. I mean, you had the XFL, the USFL merge, and I don't know how many of you watched that one. You had the Indoor Football League. You had the Arena Football League. By the way, speaking of the Arena Football League, I think I don't know how I feel about the whole thing when it came down to them and playing in the New Jersey shopping mall where they normally play, where they're ice skating, but I guess financially made a lot of sense because of what had happened during the regular season from the Arena Football League. They had to do something that was going to be worthwhile to them financially, where it was going to be good. There was so much stuff that had to kind of come together and make dollars and cents. And even though there was rumors that people were trying to spread out there and saying that, the Arena Football League was not going to have their game out there in the Meadowlands, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There was so much stuff that went on. The game went on, and Billings Outlaws ended up being the AFL champs over the Albany Firebirds. So that's that. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later on. But continuing here with the conversation, this is again from ESPN, but these are details that are really needed to be fleshed out. Not fleshed out, according to the article. But again, there are other economic, health, and safety matters that also need to be clear to our members before that's ever in agreement about an 18th game. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said earlier this year that he favored an 18-game season, adding that he envisions a lengthening schedule that would culminate in a President's Day weekend built around the Super Bowl on Sunday night. President's Day weekend. That would be the extended weekend that people have been saying for how long? And again, you guys can make your comments live here. You can also text in your comments 727-858-6650. But think about it. Everybody's been talking about why is either the Super Bowl not played on a Saturday night, and or why isn't kind of like a national holiday so people can have off on Monday? Because let's not forget, they have to start the game, right? The pregame ceremonies, like all that stuff, all the pregame hype starts from literally like 7 o'clock in the morning, depending who your local radio stations are. And then the TV networks runs all the way through around 4 o'clock. That's when you start seeing footage about the guys, the athletes, teams, the whole 9 yards. And then the game starts kicking off about 6:30. People have talked about how either A, you move it up earlier, but because the world is watching, it makes it kind of tough, even though it could be easier if they're on the West Coast. And you'll hear me say a lot, the left coast. I've been saying that for years. It's got nothing to do with politics. I just like to call it the left coast because it is on the left coast compared to where I've lived on the East Coast all my life. But on the West Coast, even if the teams are playing, let's say in Los Angeles, as we saw a couple years ago, if they're playing there, still starts off at 6:30. It could be 3:30 California time. The only thing is that the people there get to celebrate a little bit earlier compared to here on the eastern side of the world. But nonetheless, people have talked about that they wanted to be a major holiday. And could this be that major holiday possibility? So Howell said the NFLPA would be open to potentially adding an 18th game before the league's current collective bargaining agreement. Again, the CBA expires after the 2030 season, which doesn't seem that far away, only 6 years away. The CBA mandates that any change to the length of the season will need to be collectively bargained. The simple fact of the matter is when you have a growing enterprise and there are opportunities within an intervening period of time where progress could be made and you could tweak the existing CBA legal document, why wouldn't you want to do that, Howell said. So whether it's field service, whether it's the off-season schedule, if you want to call that formal negotiations, I call it bargaining. I call it amendments. I call it updates to what is now a living document called a CBA. Yeah, and I want to be able to have our membership in a position to jump in when we can, not wait until their playing days are done and it's like you go through the cycle all over again. Goodell, shared his long-term vision for an 18-game schedule during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show back in April. Howell told the Post that he was excited over Goodell's public comments about the topic, adding that he viewed the 18-game schedule as a starting point for the NFLPA, the NFL Player Association, to peel back other issues in the current CBA. He also cited recent remarks by Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, who suggested earlier this month that the league should add a second bye week to accompany an 18th game. So there you go, right? Things I hadn't mentioned prior to seeing, because this article just came out not too long ago. Our membership is interested in a myriad of things before we even get to the number of games, health and safety, field surface, OTA makeup, compensation, what percent of the annual compensation is guaranteed, Howell said. So there are many things before we get to the 18th game. It's a negotiable point, so it grabs headlines. I totally get that. Now, before I continue on with the article, there's not much left here to the article as well, but think about it. The big thing that was talked about on the last CBA, because of when we looked at when they added week 17, right? They want to know, like, okay, we're taking away the preseason. How are we making up for the difference? Where are we getting compensation from? And the same discussion is going to happen here if you come into week 18. I think, to me, again, as a fan, before anything else, before being part of media, as a fan, I don't have a problem with it. But again, I'm not the athlete, right? I'm not the guys on the field. I'm not the one taking the hits. I'm not the quarterback that's going to run for my life, hopefully, unless I have a good O-line. All these, you can't even call them superficial factors because they're not. All these factors come into play, and it would have to make sense. Now, we are here, 2024. Again, you guys heard at the end of the CBA, which would be 2030. So you have 6 years basically to get this right. Who's to say that as the season progresses and there's more talks about it, maybe Troy Vincent gets involved, that the owners start talking about it, maybe, at the end of the regular season as they get into their winter meetings, could it be a possibility that it can get this one right without hearing as much argument as we heard the last one? And listen, I get it. I understand it. The athletes, of course, they should get paid because you're putting them, again, in additional harm's way week, if you really tend to look at it. So why not pay them as they should? Work that out, figure out, okay, we're taking away a preseason game because that's exactly what's going to end up being, and then make that conversation. We just saw last week when we talked about how much money the NFL makes in TV revenue, right? I think more than obviously from the ticketing and everything else. So their money is there for these athletes to be able to recoup whatever it is in that contract agreement. So we'll see. I like it. I like the idea. Love to get to know your thoughts, but I absolutely love the idea that they're looking at possibly making it a week 18. And again, obviously they're talking about if you guys are just tuning in, as we're talking about here, the NFL, kind of like breaking news about the week 18. But again, it's just preliminary talks, but a lot of people are kind of excited about it. Will it happen? Continue on with the conversation here, but what's the complexion of the 18? How many of the games are now going to be overseas, and where overseas? Is it Western Europe? Is it South America? As in this year, is it in Asia, Australia? There are things that are in the air. And then to what I think Joe Burrow said, what about the number of bye weeks? Is it 2, more than 2? The NFLPA reluctantly agreed to the expansion from 16 to 17 games in 2021, a continuous issue among players that ultimately passed narrowly with a 51.5% of players voting in favor. Several prominent players, including New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, publicly opposed the idea of a 17-game schedule in 2021, and Howe acknowledged that he had work to do in order to gain a widespread NFLPA support for an 18th game. Many of our players have said they're going to ask for more games, Howe said. So one of the things you learn in this business, it applies back to the obvious. I know you're going to ask for more games because of that generates more money. And to be fair, don't we all want to grow the pie? So it's in a matter of which the pie grows and where's the trade-off in there so that we just don't play another game, but all these dimensions that I mentioned also get addressed. Now, another good point that was made here in the article was that, do we then start looking at, because we saw, right, the NFL, Jacksonville Jaguars, you guys hear me call them the London Jaguars all the time because I swore up and down they were going to end up doing it. But now with this new kind of stadium, what's going to be built out there in Jacksonville, now the talks are, yes, they're still going to play obviously in London because they have a huge following. The owner being from the Jacksonville Jaguars, from the area, has a lot of ties out there in that area. Where do these teams now think they would end up playing? You also got to take into factor, right? Because let's just say you come off a Monday night game and you're playing now Sunday in London. So you have either A, you're taking a plane flight directly from the end of the game, depending on where you are. If you're on the West Coast on a Monday night game and then heading over to London, are you taking the plane that night, heading back to your headquarters, wherever that may end up being, and then taking the next day flight over? Now, we've also heard, like they did in Major League Baseball, that the players are giving a sleepy substance in order for them to get some proper rest. It's a 7-hour flight or so going across the pond there. But they've been given a sleep substance in order for them to at least to be able to get some sleep in the flight there. Rightfully so, because you're not hoping, just like Major League Baseball that we saw. What player wants to come off the plane and they go right onto the field? You want to make sure that the athletes are well rested. So there's going to be a lot of questions going to come out of it. I don't think, because of what they learned from week 17, and again, it's a $1 billion industry and everybody knows, right? Listen, the rich continue to get richer to a certain extent, but the players should get a piece of that pie. It's an additional week. There's going to be, I'm pretty sure, additional jersey sales. There's so many particulars that are going to be involved that would have to make dollars and cents before everyone votes on it and says, you know what? Yes, it makes a lot of sense. Then you still have to go back and take a look again. Is it the start before Labor Day weekend, or is it the start after Labor Day weekend? The way it is right now. And if that's the case, as in the article was put in there, Roger Goodell said that he would not be opposed to having the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend. It would be a 4-day weekend, not for a lot of people, because there's a lot of companies still don't celebrate, President's Day weekend like a 4-day. A lot of people take the time off, and some are fortunate to have, if not a 3-4 day weekend. Not bad, actually, to have it then. Usually it's the week before Valentine's is always a week before normally NASCAR Super Bowl, the Daytona 500. So there's a lot to uncover there, but I want to see where it goes. I would not be mad at it at all, period. I wouldn't be mad at it. I think it's something that the NFL was heading towards anyways. Teams that we've seen that have come close down the stretch, maybe this will give that team that one extra game that they needed to possibly be in the playoffs. This is interesting. I like it. I'm excited about it. I think a lot of people are going to be as well, but you're also going to have a lot of people that are going to be not so fond. A lot of them. Because let's face it, either some people hate that the NFL season is extended. Some people liked it the way it was at 16 games. Some people have liked it before it got up to 16 games. So it's a good problem to have. I really like it. I really enjoy it. I hope that it does come to fruition, but we'll see. Now, the other thing as well, before we go into our first break here, is Haason Reddick from the Jets. Oh, New York Jets fans. It's just, there's always something about the Jets. If it's not Aaron Rodgers, it's something about this team. It's about the head coach. There is just so much that goes on with this team. But I'm going to bring up this video here before we go into the break. And you're going to hear Get Up from this morning. Let me make sure I bring this up properly. If I can, here we go. Share the screen over here for a second before we go into the break. But what you're going to hear is Greeny mention about Aaron Rodgers arrives at Jets training camp, and then also in here could be the talks as well when it comes to Haason Reddick. I'll get into that article, and then we'll go into our first break. And we thank you once again for tuning in. I am Angel Martinez. Martinez coming here on the Coastal Sports Network. Make your comments live on the social medias. Don't forget you can call and or text into the show at 727-858-6650. So here's the audio of Aaron Rodgers arriving at camp, and along with possibly hear about some Haason Reddick.
They did make several big moves during this offseason, including a major acquisition on defense, who I'm seeing this morning is not going to report today. Kmart, what can you tell us about Haason Reddick?
Yeah, so Adam Schefter, our great Adam Schefter, he reported a few minutes ago that Haason Reddick will not report to training camp as he seeks a new deal. He was traded for back in April from the Eagles. You know, he's in the final year of his contract. He was scheduled to make $14.5 million, but he has wanted a new deal. He was not here at minicamp at all, and he's not going to be here today. So that's another storyline surrounding this team. Not just Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles, not just Nathaniel Hackett in this offense. What will it look like? Not just the O-line and several guys being injured. Now the question of when will they see Haason Reddick and when will he get on the field? This is a pivotal time for this team. So, you know, obviously both sides hoping that something gets done sooner than later.
Hassan Reddick was traded from the Eagles because they knew he wanted a new contract and they weren't going to give it to him. If I knew that, then everyone, including the Jets, knew that. So how in the world is it that we are now at the start of training camp and he's not there because he doesn't have the new contract everyone knew he wouldn't play without?
Yeah, that's right, Greeny. And obviously the Jets did as well. So I'm sure for their sake that they had planned to give him a new deal. Like you think about Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen, Jacksonville, he's at $28 million a year. I would think that's the range for someone of Hassan Reddick's ability, who's been very productive over the last couple of years. He'll be 30, still in his prime. So when you make the trade like that, to your point, they have to expect this coming. So hopefully this is more like Jordan Love, not if but when, because clearly when you trade for a player of his ability in his prime with his production, you have to give him a new deal.
All right, that's credit of ESPN.
New card? You like it?
Yep, the U.S. Bank Cash Plus.
Here. All right, that was courtesy of ESPN, credit ESPN, and Get Up There with Green. You guys heard the conversation. I had to close out of that one there, even though I guess whatever that visa was that came up there. But again, you guys heard the final year, and the Eagles did not, for whatever odd reason, didn't want to pay Hassan Reddick. I guess they thought he wasn't, I'm not going to say good enough. And we also don't know because there's going to be Eagles open training camp today. It's why I'm wearing a green shirt. You guys may not be able to see it, but I'm representing Philly of the South, the club, the Eagles fan club that's down here in Tampa. You guys can go and watch the games at Tampa Joe's. Been a longtime sponsor of mine on Broad Street South. But Tampa Joe's at 9316 Anderson Road in beautiful Tampa, Florida, right off Veterans Highway 589. You guys always hear me say it is a hop, skip, and a jump from the airport. So if you're a Philly fan, you're here new to the region, Tampa region, Sarasota, Pinellas, Hillsborough County, and anywhere within the area, you guys go to Tampa Joe's. Mike Klein, Michelle, they do such a terrific job. Tons of Eagles fans. We pack the restaurant inside and out. Great bar, great food, and great people is the best way I can put it. But I'm wearing and sporting, and maybe I'll stand up here in a second. You guys can see the Philly to South shirt for the Eagles. But Hassan Reddick obviously was traded to the Jets. Eagles did not pay him. Now, goes to New York. I think, if I remember correctly, during the offseason, made it abundantly clear that he did not want to go into the season without a new contract. So here we are, right? Training camps have opened up. Hassan Reddick decides, I was looking for my $14.5 million. Are they going to give it to me? If that's the case, New York Jets fans, are you guys upset now with Hassan Reddick? Are the Jets going to do right and pay him? Are they going to say, you know what? We'll just find somebody else. We'll figure out what we're going to do, because we're still going to see if Aaron Rodgers is going to be healthy enough to be able to play an entire full season. First game, everybody knows Jets, San Fran. Nasty defense. You're just coming off a major injury from the season prior. Everything so far from what it looked like leading up to now training camp that Aaron Rodgers was getting his reps. He said he's been feeling good. Haven't heard much from it. I'm pretty sure now the camps are open and more of the media will be there. We'll hear more and more about Aaron Rodgers. But now the Jets just put themselves in kind of a precarious situation, because do we now pay Hassan Reddick? And I don't mean me, because obviously I don't have freaking millions, but does the New York Jets organization pay now Hassan Reddick? Where does this go? Does it start the Jets on the foot that they didn't want to start off? They were looking to just erase what happened last season. Brand new year, brand new season. Let's go. No different than what Nick Sirianni and crew is going to do in Philadelphia. No different in Detroit, Cleveland, Tampa, and all the surrounding teams. But you're starting off training camp with a guy holding out. And he's not the only one holding out. Jordan Love also, and we'll get into that after the break. Jordan Love also holding out because he wants a new contract. How do you guys feel? Green Bay Packers fans, we'll love to hear from you guys. We've now, made this culture that we hold out because we want more money. I don't think Jordan Love will get nasty about it or anything else like that. I'm pretty sure if Green Bay feels that is their quarterback of the future, they'll try and get something done. Or maybe they're talking right now and we have no idea. Eventually it'll be leaked out just like everything else. So we wonder, Green Bay fans, are you upset that Jordan Love is also holding out. And I'm pretty sure there might be a couple more. We always see this every year. It's not nothing new. But do you guys get upset? Do you not care? Maybe I'll put up a poll a little bit later on your thoughts on are you upset when your teammates end up holding out? I would just love to know your thoughts. Penguin AZ, Tom says, good morning, Angel Martinez and company. Good morning. Mi hermano Tom, thank you. Tuning in from Arizona out there. What is 7:31 in the morning in the AM? This is why I see the left coast. This is why I see the West Coast. I know a lot of people get annoyed a lot of times, but Tom, thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Don't forget, you guys can make your live comments here on the socials. You can also call or text the show 727-858-6650. Pete Shepard will be back tomorrow morning unless he tells me otherwise, but he is spending his time with Chara and his wife. You guys didn't know because we weren't on air yesterday. Pete took some time off because his beloved dog, and everybody knows, listen, there's been people that have not wanted children. I got a great friend of mine, Scott, never wanted kids. Never, to this day, never had a kid. But some people have always had a canine, and listen, turtles, you name it. People have had animals in place of because they didn't want to bring a child into this world. I'm not going to argue with that person. If they felt like they don't need to bring a child into this world, don't do so. But the ones who have dogs, and listen, we all love, right? We all love animals. The worst part about it is that we know there's a time when they are going to pass. And it's hard because we love the animals. My wife had her dog, Oakley, before she had to put him down. Right? Her son had his dog that he had to put down before the wedding. It stinks because we love our animals and we don't want to see them pass for sure. But he's spending the moments that he can with Chara. As he told me, he's going to write off a bunch of stuff on the bucket list. We hope that Chara extends her life. God willing, those who are new here, do us a favor. When you pray tonight or throughout your day or something else, say one out for Chara. Let Pete and Elaine have at least a couple of extra days with her so they can just enjoy the time. And if you guys have never heard her on the show, every once in a while you might hear like a bark or a little bit of a yelp, and you can always tell because she's tuned in. So Pete will be back tomorrow. Again, usually we start off the day with the Pete Shepard Show from 7 to 10 a.m., followed by Martinez Company. I am Angel Martinez here from 10 to 12. And then my hermano, Rich Quinones, with Middays with Q from 12 to 2. There could be possibly a lineup change coming. We will let you know. Also, don't forget, last night, over 700 folks, and we do appreciate the love and the support, tuned in to Lloyd Vance's Insider Football on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. His son Nate was with him, along with Kevin. It was a great night last night, as they always break it down every Monday night here on the Coastal Sports Network at 8 p.m. And then, of course, tomorrow night, what I call the best in the biz, Coach Mack, Coach Johnson, Ron Briscoe, Talking Hoops. You guys can see that live show at 8 p.m. right here on the Coastal Sports Network. Oh, on X, on SR102thegame.com, all over the socials. And by the way, if you download the app and you're on the go somewhere, guess what? You can also watch the show on the go. You can hear the show from the Digital Sports app, our digital sports station that has been around here for over 2 years. But you guys can hear it right live on the app. That's why I ask and suggest to you guys, visit SR1029thegame.com. It's always up on a screen while we have the live shows on the entire time. You can download the app directly from the website. You'll see it. It's like a green picture. It has a tablet up there. It has an iPhone, a Samsung phone, just one place where you need to download it from. And it can go to your MacBook, your PC, any of your devices directly from the website. So please visit SR1029thegame.com and download it from there. And of course, all the audio is available after the shows are over, not only on the digital sports station, but also wherever you get your audio platform from. So whether it be in Samsung Music, Amazon, everywhere, I try to make sure that if you guys end up missing out, you can go back and watch and listen to the show. As we go into break, Tom says, not upset at all. The conversations are happening and it's not practicing, but attending team meetings. I'm not worried at all. And that's a good thought. As Tom also says, much love and healing vibes to Chara and Pete Shepard and the family. So thank you, Tom, for that. I'll make sure I'll pass it on to Pete. Pete, of course, I don't expect him to be listening in today because he wants to spend time with Chara. Then we're going to take her out to the beach and do a couple things. And again, listen, folks, our animals are everything. So do us a favor, whatever God that you pray to, whatever it is that you do, just say one out, even pour one out for Chara. Because listen, she was there for the Celtics winning a championship. I also believe she was around when the Red Sox had won their last World Series. So pour one out for Chara for sure. We appreciate it. So after the break, we'll get into a little bit more. Aziz Al-Shir, if I'm saying the name correctly, I apologize if I don't. He found Stefon Diggs' phone. He's got a funny comment about it. Pat McAfee talked about flag football and how that popularity is growing, which is crazy to think. And he even mentioned about possibly the NFL. Think about this. And we've already seen it, obviously, during the Pro Bowl. What if, and I would love to get your thoughts, even Tom, if he's still listening, because I know he has to be off to work here soon. But what if the NFL turned regular hard-nosed hitting football into flag football? Would everybody be okay with it? Will people stop tuning out? I would love to get your comments about that. Of course, you can make it on social medias, and you can text into the show 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. You can also call into the show as well because the lines are completely wide open. And we thank you guys for tuning into the show. Don't forget to visit our sponsors that are on the webpage as well. And we'll get into that. The story about one player changing their tune because they're heading to the Olympics. And I say that kind of gingerly because just shy about 2 years ago was not the case. So we'll get into that. Also, USA released their prediction of the 2024 NFL season. So we'll get into that. There's just a lot to get into here before Maya Mono comes on at 12 o'clock. So we thank you guys for watching and listening here to Martinez & Company on the Coastal Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Eye on Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, IonTP.com. Eye on Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Eye on Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, "That's rad." It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM, the Game app, and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
All right, welcome back. Martinez coming here live Monday through Friday from 10 to 12. Well, starts at a.m., finishes up in the p.m. The mid-morning show, as I like to call it, before the midday show here at Southwest Florida's newest game in town, the Coastal Sports Network. We thank you guys for not only helping us by making your comments here on social medias, supporting here of the shows, watching our shows, listening in, and downloading the app as well. As you guys love to hear when Rich says Bumper Guy, as Bumper Guy just said, go ahead and download the app. It is not available at your app stores. It will not be available there for at least another 4 months because it takes a while for that to happen. By the way, real quick, coming across, the U.S. Secret Service Director Cheeto has resigned. For those who are keeping up with that and what had happened. Again, I don't get into politics, but I just want to mention that real quick. If you guys are listening in and watching the show, Cheeto has resigned as director of the FBI. So that is that. We'll see what happens. Also, we'll see what's happening too around the White House, and just read on the socials and see what's going on there. Anyways, so a couple things I want to get into is Davante Adams as well. Talks about Aiden O'Connell makes kind of a suggestion to bring back Tom Brady. He talked about it a lot with Shannon Sharp. Also, you guys know that Pete loves, and I say this sarcastically, that Pete loves Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. has an issue, or at least he takes an issue about John Harbaugh making comments about Lamar Jackson. Is it bigger than what it should be? I don't think that Harbaugh is too critical on Lamar Jackson. Listen, we all know that Lamar Jackson, he's steps up, right? We've seen it. It happens. And then during the postseason, they come up short. Is the onus completely on Lamar? Well, at the time, if we're talking about it, we would probably say yeah, because at the end of the season, was the onus on Jalen and Nick Sirianni? Yes, resoundingly. But again, new season, training camp opens today. I'm going to assure it's going to be a lot of talk come tomorrow about how they feel. Does Jalen Hurts need to have all the weight on his shoulders? So there's a lot of stuff to get into. But the one thing I wanted to get into is I kind of teased it before as we get into more NFL talk. The WNBA, you guys had heard me mention as far as when it comes to Caitlin Clark, which I think number one, that should pretty much almost be put to rest because of how she was feeding everyone on her team. And oh, by the way, the USA team that's going to play overseas, maybe, you know what? Maybe, again, I'm just going to throw this out there. Maybe just for every 4 years. Let me know what you guys think. What if, let's just say, we've seen, right, Major League Baseball, that the All-Star game, the winner decided who would end up, not anymore, but before it used to be decided who won basically the rights to play in their ballpark, whether it be in a National League or an American League, depending on who won. Could it be, and I just silly, I just want to know how you guys feel about it. Very silly, again, hypothetical. But what if they decided to put let's say 2 years from now, right? So we see the building of the ladies U.S. women's national basketball team that would be heading to the Olympics. And then you have the women's NBA. What if the winners of either All-Star game now are the ones who represent the U.S. team wherever they may be playing? Just a little food for thought. Love to get your comments here on the socials, on X, minus Instagram, because Instagram still has this thing where they don't like to do landscape. They don't like to do more than just an hour. Everybody's trying to work with them to see if they're... Listen, Instagram, Zuckerberg, because you do own it. I could give you another name, but I'm just being polite. But Zuckerberg, if you allow people to be on Facebook for, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, do the same for Instagram. There's a lot of people on Instagram that would love to see live shows, live programming, but you limited them to either an hour's worth. Oh, and by the way, and then you also have little small windows, and it's kind of ridiculous when you're doing a virtual program for everyone to see all around America, and then you see the itty bitty window. It doesn't work for me. Just saying, that's just me. But I don't know how other people feel about it. By the way, there's also, I'm going to see if I can find a story as far as the video. Folks, what are we doing? Philly, love my city. Absolutely love my city. But holy craps, this story, and I'll mention this, and hopefully I can still find the video. If not, I'll find it a little bit later on and share it out there with you guys. I don't know what to say about this one, but if we're really starting to get this just pettiness beyond ridiculousness, I'll share it with you after the story here. But don't forget, and as I mentioned here, and we'll get into some more NFL talk, and I teased this earlier, this is available, and credit to Outkick. Now, Brittany Griner, who previously knelt for the national anthem, changed his tune just ahead of the Olympics, right? Representing the great United States of America. Whether people like it or not, listen, to each his own. You either love this country, you don't love this country. Or for a lot of people saying they're going to grab their passports and leave. Some yentas that are on a known network have talked about it, yet they're still here. So it can't be that bad, right? It can't be that bad. So I just would love to know if you guys don't like it. Hey, you know what? You can go to other countries. Have at it, Hoss. Let me know how it works out for you. But Brittany Griner here. WNBA star Brittany Griner is part of the United States women's basketball team that will compete in Paris at the 2024 Summer Olympics. Her and her wife just had a child. God bless. I hope the baby's healthy and happy and grows to be a beautiful person, first and foremost, because that I do not have hatred for. And I hope that no one wishes upon the birth of their child for something just because of whatever Brittany's choices were made in the past. Always believe that we all want our children to be loved, succeed, and have a healthy and happy lifestyle. And with that being said, back in 2020, when Black Lives Matter protests that were allegedly most peaceful were ravaging the country and destroying cities, Brittany stood in solidarity and anger towards the United States. Now, she suggested that the WNBA should forego playing the American national anthem before games. You guys remember when that was a thing? How does that change? How much does it change? Remember, it was taken away from us, and there's still some networks that won't show it, right? But how does that change? Okay, we'll see. She suggested, again, I honestly feel we should not play the national anthem during our season. Griner told the Arizona Republic in July of 2020. I think we should take that much of a stand. She also knelt during the national anthem in 2020. Now, let's fast forward a little bit. But after Brittney Griner was detained in Russia for having drug paraphernalia in her luggage, the United States government agreed to a prisoner swap to free Griner from custody. You guys also remember the person that was swapped out for. I'm not even going to mention it because, again, not getting into the super politics, but that also was its own fiasco. Hearing the national anthem, it definitely hit different, Griner said, after hearing the anthem for the first time after returning to the United States. Quote, it's like when you go for the Olympics, you're sitting there about to get gold, you put it around your neck, the flags are going up, and the anthem is playing, it just hits different, end quote. Now, could it also be that when you go to a different country and you are forewarned of what could possibly happen, but before all that, you had no problem stepping, stomping, do this and the other, blah, 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 and now you've changed your tune. And you know what? I would have to applaud her for changing her tune if it's for that reason, because you actually now care about the place that not fans turn out for you. Because let's not forget either, the WNBA also, they were begging. Let's be truthful here. We're begging for fans to come out and support, right, Brittney. And now it comes out to where she turns around and finally says that maybe she was wrong in so many words. Sure, having your country bail you out of a foreign prison is likely to have that effect. Thankfully, Griner hasn't wavered about her new appreciation for America as she gears up onto don the red, white, and blue in Paris. It means everything to me, honestly, Griner told the Associated Press when asked about wearing a Team USA jersey. Quote, for me to now have the honor to wear it again and potentially win gold is icing on the cake for everything. This will be Griner's third time competing in the Olympics for the United States after winning gold in 2016 and 2021 at the 2020 Tokyo Games, which were played the following year due to COVID. That's why you guys see the kind of condensed version of why we're 3 years later back at the Olympics again. Brittney Griner is now very proud to be an American and represent the United States at the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Look, I'm not going to bash Griner for changing her mind. This is not from me. This is, again, from the article coming out of Outkick. If anything, I think it's terrific that she gained some perspective and new appreciation for the United States. Now, I do think it's a bit ridiculous that she needed to go through that tumultuous event to get there, but she did eventually get there, right? So in this article, they're talking about because what had happened just some years ago, there was this whole change and all this stuff had to happen. And again, to each his own, right? Listen, when you wake up in the morning, it's about choices. You guys hear me say this all the time. If you don't, I'll say it. Life is about choices. When you wake up in the morning, you choose to have a good day. You choose to have the bad day. Just like weapons that we keep hearing now about because what's happening. A weapon has never killed anyone. Why? A knife could lay on a shelf on display, just like you guys see my helmets back here, my credentials. It lays on that shelf. That knife doesn't just have magical feet and wander off and go stab somebody like we've seen what was going on in Vegas. Finally, they caught that guy. And what goes on in Philly with people just shooting people. Weapons don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, well, today's a good day to go after so-and-so. No, it's people. It's the choices they make. They get up in the morning, they take out that weapon, they load up the ammo, like in that magazine, clock it back, take off the safety, and pow, it's off, right? So it's not about the weapons. It's about the people and the choices that they make. So now it was always frustrating to hear people who have had incredible success in the United States, primarily due to the fact that they were born in the U.S. in the first place, complain about how terrible the country is. Griner got her first-hand taste of just how some other countries handle her business, and she didn't like what she saw. Good, right? More ungrateful Americans could certainly benefit from similar experiences, though I wish people would simply learn from Griner's experience and understand that the real privilege that exists in simply being born an American. How many other countries would turn someone like Brittney Griner into a national hero? How many would trade the merchant of death for a basketball player? Merchant of death. Think about that one, folks. For a basketball player, the answer is very few, if not none. The United States has been very good to Brittney Griner, indeed pretty much every professional athlete, and it would be nice to see more appreciation. Still, hopefully, the other women on Team USA follow Griner's lead and proudly put on their red, white, and blue jerseys with a pride and then stomp the competition into oblivion on their way to get another gold medal. So that was written by Dan Sajewski. Again, you guys can see the article over on Outkick. Credit to Outkick for putting that out. I really appreciate them doing so. And again, we'll love to get your comments here on the socials. Also, you can text and call in the show, 727-858-6650. How do you guys feel? Again, you got to remember, there's a lot of people, a lot of folks who have said they can't stand this country. To each his own. But let's not forget, we as people, we as broadcasters, we as part of the media, guess what, folks? You guys have made money because of us. We support you guys. It's just nice to see that Brittany Griner, and maybe it's just the epiphany of being part of the Olympics. Maybe we give everybody second chances. Some people get third, some people get four, some people get forever chances. But it's nice to see that Brittany Griner has turned it around and said, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. And that's great for her. Trust me when I tell you, it's great for her. Because I know how I felt. I was pretty much disgusted on the way she had treated the people who loved and showed her love when it came out to her games. But it's nice to see. And again, I want her and her wife and the baby to live a healthy life. For that baby to grow up and however they want the baby to grow up in society. And more importantly, that the baby is loved. So, hey, Brittany Griner, thank you from me personally. Because I think what you said there, was very heartwarming. And I hope that you do well in the Olympics and that you continue to do well in whatever you do in your career. But it's just nice to see that some people do turn things around just because they know, like, hey, you know what? I may have said some things that I probably shouldn't have said, but now let me turn things around. Also, don't forget, we are powered by ION Tampa Bay. Visit iontb.com for the latest news, weather, and traffic. The weather around here has been completely crazy for the past couple of days, but we expect that it is the summertime. Thankfully, it's been really quiet in the eastern part of the state here, the Atlantic Ocean, because of the Saharan desert dust that comes across. And so, thankfully, because of that, the potential for hurricanes to spawn up have been very minimal. It doesn't mean that we don't have the kind of like flash flood type stories that come through here. So visit iontampabay.com and follow them on X and Facebook as well on IONTB. And checking the majors right now, it seems like everything is good coming off I-75. Apparently, this was cleared. It was planned construction in Hamilton County on I-75 South before a mile marker route 444. The right lanes are blocked, and that was last updated at 6:39 this morning. So there's a lot of construction going on I-75 south of Sarasota. So if you guys are in the area, make sure you take the time. Don't forget, here in the state of Florida, if you see someone pulled over with their hazards on, the new law is, if you can, please attempt to get it into the next lane so they go ahead and take care of whatever emergency services are going on. Rick Marcus tunes in and says, watching Clark and Reese play together and win is the way things should be. Correct, Rick. I agree with that. There's if I can bring it up now, which I, again, as I talk about it, I shared the double duties while I'm doing the show by myself here and produce a show. The one thing that I want to bring up here that Angel Reese had talked about Caitlin Clark. And again, I don't think there was much hatred, but I think, honestly, if I can say so myself, I think a lot of what we've heard from people and the whole, thing between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and all the feuding and this, that, and the other, and a lot of people having hatred towards Caitlin Clark. Why? Because I guess maybe they're hating their game. I don't think they hated Caitlin Clark per se. I think it was more because, listen, any competitive athlete, right? We've seen it. Reggie Miller, how many times did he not go to a venue and get booed out of his mind? He didn't mind. He still played lights out, correct? He did mention not too long ago, too, about that he doesn't have, I guess, the patience to be a head coach. Everybody knows when Reggie played at a whole different level. Yes, did he get heated? Yes, did he share his opinions? Of course, any athlete would. But someone had asked him, he said he really didn't have the patience of becoming an NBA coach. So here's Angel Reese talking about, because Rick Marcus had just brought that up, and I want to bring this up later on during the show as well. But here is the comment of Angel Reese talking about Caitlin Clark. And if you guys missed the All-Star game, there was a lot of passing being done by Caitlin Clark. And also Angel Reese had one hell of an All-Star weekend.
Angel, I know you're never asked questions about Caitlin, and she's never asked questions about you, but how about the experience of being teammates and actually getting to be on the floor together? Because you did have quite a few minutes of run there together in this second quarter.
Yeah, it's so cool. I know when she gets the ball, I'm running to look for the ball because I know she's going to throw it. So she's been great to play with. I mean, the future, we're going to be playing with each other a lot. Hopefully in 4 years we can be Olympians together. So,
Angel, it's been a terrific.
Right? There you go. She said it, right? She wishes and she hopes for in 4 years that they get to play together in the Olympics. And you guys heard me say this. In case you're tuning in, thank you for tuning in. I am Angel Martinez. Martinez coming to mid-morning show from 10 to 12 a.m. Monday through Friday, barring yesterday because of I wanted to make sure because the things that I have to set up and get corrected. That's why I'll take the time off to make sure you guys getting good digital content. But you heard me mention it earlier as a hypothetical. What if, and I'll put the poll up there later on, unless someone already put one up there, but I'll put it up there later on. What if, let's say 2 years from now, right? So Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, barring any kind of injuries or anything else like that, to continue their NBA career here. And what if, when it's time to start putting the women's national basketball team together to go to the Olympics, what if the team that they assemble and then the ladies who make the WNBA All-Star team, if the winners, just like we saw this past weekend, if the winners from that game were then replace the ones that they thought and they felt should be going to the Olympics. Just thoughts. I'd love to get you guys your thoughts. Again, here on the socials, on X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Rumble, goodness gracious, YouTube, SR1029thegame.com, where you guys can always watch the show, listen to the shows live there as well. And I'm pretty sure I missed somewhere else. It's everywhere, folks. The Coastal Sports Network. But I'd love to get your thoughts also on the text line, 727-858-6650. As we talked about, Angel Reese had just mentioned her feelings about Caitlin Clark. And I think these two have a lot of respect for one another. I can't say if they have a lot of love, but it seemed like it over the weekend. They're both coming off their college careers, then leaped into the WNBA, going to the All-Star. Angel Reese having one hell of a WNBA season, the same way with Caitlin Clark, not taking away from the other ladies as well. So I would love to see finally this feud come to an end. I really would, because I think a lot of people are there could be a lot said, maybe a lot to do about nothing. Who knows? All I know is that I'm pretty sure these ladies just want to get back to what they do the second half of the WNBA season, which is going to end up taking off. The ratings continue to become higher for the WNBA. That new deal that you guys had heard, the good and bad takes that you guys, I would love to get your opinions about it as well. The additional $200 million that was kind of awarded to WNBA, was that enough money? Probably not, because I think they said 10% of that go towards the players' salaries. And if you really do all the breakdown of the 10% that are passed off to these female athletes in the WNBA, that's why a lot of them end up playing overseas, because they make a lot more money overseas. Caitlin Clark is the only one that got that mega deal from Nike. And a lot of the women were upset with Caitlin Clark. A lot of it was because of that. What was it, $28 million? Something ridiculous from Nike that she was awarded. If the WNBA continues to push the product the way they are. Oh, and by the way, the NBA, also talk about possibly expanding, which we knew those talks were coming around, but the NBA possibly expanding in Seattle and Las Vegas, I believe, were the two front runners right now. We've heard that LeBron James will love to start a team in Las Vegas. Could that happen? That would be interesting. Let's just say it's just 2 years from now, and Bronny James comes to play with him, right? So he gets the opportunity to play with his son, and then LeBron says, you know what, I'm out, and now let me focus upon if I actually do. Because what happened, let's just say, again, I know I like to use the hypotheticals, but what happens if LeBron James decides to team up with Tom Brady and say, hey, Tom, I know you may not know anything about the NBA. You love Vegas. I love Vegas. What if we start an NBA team in Vegas? Just throwing that out there. But I want to see the second half of the WNBA season. The ratings will more than likely continue to go up. There's a lot of people that are tuning in for sure. I mean, hands down, there are a ton of folks that are tuning in to the WNBA. The product they've put out there is getting better. More fans are tuning in because the women athletes are becoming more and more competitive, as they should be. And there isn't a lot of whole ton of trash talking, I want to say, from the coaches. Dawn Staley, another one, absolutely loved everywhere in every major sport. Could be possibility because from Philly, just throwing that out there. But, nonetheless, I want to see the second half of the season for WNBA. I would love to see what the finals number are. I think I'm still waiting to see what the numbers were from the All-Star weekend. A lot of that still hasn't been put together. So I want to see maybe by the end of the week, I'll give you guys an update of what they made over the weekend, All-Star weekend. I know the jersey sales have been slowly creeping up as well. So listen, I applaud the WNBA for doing the best job they possibly can with what little that they have to work around with. All right. The other thing I want to get into as well, and I could end up taking a break here, but I might end up leaving over the commercial break. But so you guys, as Major League Baseball comes around, right, we're now past the All-Star game. A lot of folks are still upset about the whole uniform thing. I'm pretty sure Major League Baseball will eventually, at one point or another, figure out what to do there. But did anyone happen to see, and we'll get into some NFL stuff as well, but Jose Siri from the Tampa Bay Rays, and I want to see if I can bring that up as well. But Siri, and as I said, I'm pretty sure my device here will end up going off. I want to bring up and listen, the Rays, I know they're here. Don't get me wrong. I know they're here in the St. Pete area, in the Tampa Bay region. Yes, they are here. There's a lot of people that love them. There's a lot of people that go to the games. It's probably one of the few teams that you could still go watch a game for $10. Don't get me wrong. So, Jose Siri, this is over the weekend because I was off yesterday. I want to bring this off. I want to bring this up as well. In case you guys have not seen this, not only are the Rays down by 4 runs, this to me just doesn't make any sense. So you're going to hear the audio from the broadcasters of Siri and the time it came around. You're also going to hear why Michael Kay was upset of what Siri had done. You're also going to hear one of the Yankees players as well, and as he mentions of his thoughts. And then you're also going to hear a translator ask Siri after the game why he did it. So I'm going to skip the commercial break for now. I want to get into the audio here. Here is Siri's home run. If you guys have not seen or heard this, this is, excuse me, credit to the Yes Network, the Yankee Network. And this is Siri's Siri apostrophe S home run. And mind you, they were also down 4-0 against the Yankees. And then here comes the audio to follow.
Fly ball back to right field, turning around Soto. He's going to look up and watch that one get out. An opposite field home run for Jose Siri. And the Rays are on the board. That will make it 4-1. And Siri's going to take a little time.
Yeah, and that was after the bat flip halfway up the first base line.
And that brings the ire of the crowd here. So we've had.
Oh, here we go. Look at that. Well, do we have the shot up the first base line?
All right. So that's Siri, his home run. I believe it was like 34 seconds in total, which didn't make any sense to me. Now, here is Michael Kay, and he talks about how he didn't like what Siri had done. And listen, again, Rays are not having their best season. We saw last year, I mean, they were coming out like gangbusters. No one saw what Tampa Bay did last season. They didn't even get talked about locally here until they had gone, 7-0 to start off the season. When they went 10-0, they finally started getting national recognition. This year, I don't know exactly what's going on with Tampa Bay. And yes, you guys have heard me. They did finally get the vote 5-3 to get this new stadium. So maybe when a new stadium is built in St. Pete, I don't know, maybe things will change around. I don't know if Kevin Cash will still be here by then. There might be a coaching change, managerial change at the end of this season. I don't know. All I know is that we also heard Evan Longoria talk about that what he didn't like when he was here in the St. Pete area was the low attendance by the fans. And again, you have to take in consideration not only the Trop that used to at one point or another host the Tampa Bay Lightning. And let's not forget either, because of the way the dome is built, the ice used to melt before obviously Tampa ended up taking off and heading out to Tampa, which they now play at the Amalie Arena. It's just where it is. You have rush hour. You have the folks that come off, come from Sarasota. I mean, there's just where it's placed, probably not the smartest. And I still argue that I wish they would have put it in Ybor City, but nonetheless, Rays are not doing that great. So for what Siri did, I want you guys to hear the reaction from Michael Kay, because in a way, I kind of got to agree with him.
You're losing. I mean, celebrate when you're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, they're acting like it's Mardi Gras in that dugout. You're losing the game. But I asked Aaron Boone about it today, and he said, it's a new world.
Mm-hmm.
He says he tries to look away. Well, the Yankee fans have got themselves a new enemy. They see it, and every time he does that nonsense between second and third, they really boo him. And I think he enjoys it.
Now, again, credit of the Yes Network. Now, follow that up with, and just wait for it, folks. Just wait for it, because Juan Soto here makes his judgment call, and the volume or the audio on this is just a little bit low. Hopefully, you guys will be able to hear it. But I asked him about what are his thoughts of what Siri did. So here's Juan Soto's comments after the game. Again, credit to the Yes Network.
Took your time going around the bases. What did you think of Siri on the other side and what he was doing, the theatrics there?
I don't know what he was doing. Actually, I just don't know. For me, I just, hot weather, tough day, try to save the Hammers and make sure it's cold like it.
Is that something that's irritated you guys throughout this series? Siri did it yesterday, Rosarena did it.
He just part of the game. At the end of the day, I don't know what they're doing. Like I said again, I don't know what they have back there, but I know from this side we always come out and play hard every day and try to respect our teammates and the other teams too.
Took your time going around the bases. What did you think of Siri on the other?
Now, Juan Soto said maybe it was the weather. Maybe that's what he was feeling. I have not a clue. But again, they talked about the whole thing with the way, it came about, the whole 9 yards. All right. So then what do you do to basically combat that one? Well, what you end up getting is a big, huge bomb here from said person who was just actually speaking. And I thought this was kind of funny the way they ended up doing this, because they put you guys are going to hear, those who are listening on the Digital Sports app, you're going to hear the ticker that's running in the background for the bomb that was then belted later on from Juan Soto.
That one's drilled deep to right field. There it goes. See ya. Oh, what a blast by Soto. He's having fun now. 6-1 Yankees. And he's taking his time, Paul.
My goodness, I'm taking my time trying to figure out where this one landed. His 24th of the year. You know, Michael, it must be fun to be this good. You know that? I mean,
he decided to take a couple extra seconds because, again, listen, people can do what they want to do. These Major League Baseball players, they get paid handsomely, rightfully so, for what they end up doing. But I will have to get to know your thoughts of you guys as well, and how you felt. If you're a Yankees fan and you're listening in, what did you think about the whole entire thing? So the last one I'm going to play here before I end up taking a short break. So Siri, again, thanks to the Yes Network, they interviewed him afterwards, and he talked about the home run trot. Of course, you guys are going to hear his translator, so you're going to hear a little back and forth here. They asked him about how he felt about the home run trot. You know, should he have done it? Should he not have done it? Well, best way to put it is, here is Siri, and what he felt was okay.
Trot around the bases there as well. Was that to just enjoy a little birthday present to yourself?
¿Tomaste tu tiempo corriendo las bases? ¿Eso fue nomás para disfrutar el home run para ti?
Sí, eso fue normal. Solo me divertí con el muchacho en el dogado. Hacemos lo que tenemos que hacer y ya.
Yeah, that was normal. I was just trying to have fun with my teammates in the dugout, and that's just what happened.
I think you said yesterday you don't like when they booed their players. Did you mind when they booed you?
Yeah, no te gusta cuando bucean a ellos, a los jugadores de ellos, pero ¿te gusta cuando te bucean a ustedes?
Yo no lo veo bien, pero eso son cosas de ellos, ¿sabes? Los fanáticos de aquí, yo no controlo eso, yo solamente es una cosa de personal y ya.
Like I said, I don't like it. You know, that's just what they do. You can't control that. For me, it's more of a personal thing, but for them, I don't control that.
When you, around at home, you did a little gesture with your hand. Was that kind of like about crowd noise, crowd talking?
Cuando ya llegaste a home, que hiciste una señal con tus manos, ¿eso fue para los fans otra vez?
No, es que yo no hago nada para los fans. Yo solamente expreso lo que siento cuando voy corriendo. Ya si ellos piensan que son para ellos, que son para un ejemplo para otro equipo, yo no me importa porque yo lo estoy haciendo porque a mí me gusta.
No, you know, it wasn't for the fans. It's just myself. It's just for me to express myself. You know, I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm not doing it for anything. It's just kind of what I do to express myself as I'm coming to the plate.
Did Soto say anything to you on his trot out there? I couldn't tell if he was looking at the bullpen or at you.
¿Te dijo algo Soto cuando él corrió las bases? Él no sabe si estaba mirando al bullpen o a ti.
Yo no sé, en verdad a mí no me importa. Yo, por mí pueden durar 30 segundos para un home plate y yo no me voy a molestar. Eso son cosas que a mí no me afectan.
Honestly, I don't know. You know, that's something that doesn't affect me. It looked like he ran about 30 seconds around the bases, but like I said, that's stuff that doesn't bother me.
He didn't know what the time was, but he kind of knew what the time, was. Look, I guess bottom line with the Rays and Siri, the slower than normal trots aren't going to go away anytime soon.
No, and that he said that's how he expresses himself. Okay, that's fine. I've said this a million times. I'm old school. The game has completely changed, and we'll take another look at the trot. And this one was actually fast compared to yesterday's, but you can see how he breaks it down and takes his time.
So, I would like to get your thoughts. What do you guys think? Is it okay? Was it okay? Is it fine? I don't know. It's just, to me, the Rays are not doing as well as they should be. And listen, what do I know? I could be playing, but dugout quarterback here, dugout, bad boy, dugout, whatever you want to call it. It's my opinion. But again, that's what he decided to do. Maybe it's a lot to do about nothing. Who knows? All I know, some people hated it. Some people loved it. Some people could care less about it. There were so many different takes from there. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows? We're going to be going to a break here momentarily. And yesterday, this is why a lot of times too, and I'm going to bring up some sounders about Davante Adams, because he had a couple things he had mentioned about Tom Brady, Aidan O'Connell, how he came not as much to his defense, but what he felt about and how he feels about Aidan O'Connell. And also there was a bunch of people yesterday. And this is why you got to be very, very careful when you end up putting certain things out there. So inside the NBA, everybody knows that Amazon put up like a $1.8 billion deal to bring it over to Amazon. And then supposed TNT had matched it. And then there were people putting stuff out there saying that, it's coming to stay, blah, blah, blah. And now, as I'm looking at somewhat semi-breaking news here, is that no, inside the NBA isn't here to stay, at least not yet. So the deal, until they get the deal done, I would love to see the TNT crew come back, Chuck and the rest of the gang, Shaq. But you got to be careful, because a lot of times I know everyone's dying to be the first one to push something out. I don't. And it's just me personally. I don't, because then you got to go back and you have to retract something that you pushed out there that come out not to be true. Adam Schefter, a couple of years ago, I'm almost certain it was last year, he put something out, or it might have been even 2 years ago, the whole thing about Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady then retired, and there was something else that went out there, and a good person, and normally we get our resources from, right? Because he's usually the first one to know, just like Woj and other people. So we'll see the TNT thing until the deal gets done. A lot of us will love to see these guys come back. Pete absolutely loves them. You guys are here to talk about the NBA on TNT all the time. So we're yet wait and see if the news breaks and if it's actually true news. I'll mention it come tomorrow. Maybe I'll post something up, and I stretch maybe, as long as it's actual factual that's the case. So we'll get into some Davante Adams stuff before we end up ending the show. We've got about 39 minutes plus or so before Middays with Q begins with my hermano Rich Quinones. We'll start from 12 to 2 p.m. Then, as always, you guys start off the day, you know, your week with the Pete Shepard Show from 7 to 10 a.m. right here on the Coastal Sports Network. Don't forget, please visit sr1029thegame.com. Download the app, the all-new sports digital app, so you guys can listen to our digital sports station wherever you are, wherever you're traveling. You can hear also the missed shows that you guys have, because of whatever you're doing, summer vacation, whatever the case may be, you guys can hear that. Also, the host of shows that we have, Talking Hoops, which you guys can listen to and watch on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. Lloyd Vance and Lloyd Vance's Insider Football, the show that he did last night. And thank over the 700 folks plus that tune into that one as well. But thank you guys for supporting us here at the Coastal Sports Network. So do us a favor, download the app. It doesn't cost you anything. Simple instructions to follow. You can download it to your MacBook, your tablet, PC, Android, Apple, any device directly from the website. So visit sr1029thegame.com. You guys see it on the screen all morning long. Tune in. So therefore, if you're on a plane, train, automobile, wherever you are, you can flip from the live show right over to the radio player. So when you're in your car, instead of watching your phone, which you should be watching the road, all you got to do is hit pause on the live TV, hit play on the radio player, and you pick up right where you left off. And then once you arrive at whatever location you're going to, if you want to switch it back, pause the radio player, hit the live TV player, and ta-da, you're ready to go. So we got you covered. You can also text and call the show live right from the app. And by the way, you can check out the Sports Radio CSN bets. There's a lot to take a look at while you're there as well. So we'll take a timeout here. We'll probably end up being the last timeout before the end of the show. We thank you all for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Also, don't forget to visit our sponsors that are on the webpage as well. MoynihanLumber.com being one of them. We do appreciate them as well. And don't forget, we are powered by Ion Tampa Bay, Ion TB. You can follow them on X and Facebook. And you can visit our website, iontb.com, iontampabay.com, for your latest news, weather, and traffic, and checking around the surrounding areas. It seems like we are still clear on all the majors. But as always, be careful. Don't text and drive. Arrive alive. That's the most important thing. You are listening to Martinez Company here live on the Coastal Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontb.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Don't just follow us on the socials. Call or text the show 727-858-6650 and let us know what's on your mind. Now back to Martinez and Company.
Welcome back. I am Angel Martinez. This is Martinez and Company live Monday through Friday from 10 to 12 p.m. The mid-morning show, as I love to call it, right here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thank you all again for the support, the follows. You guys can follow us on CSN Florida, also on SR 1029 The Game, Pete at Pete Shep 326, and of course my hermano Rich Q on Q, all on the socials. Visit the website sr1029thegame.com. We really do appreciate it. So before the break, as I mentioned, as we have just about 45 minutes or so here to go before the end of the show. So Shannon Sharpe has his own, his Twitter handle, which he calls Club Shay Shay. He puts out a great podcast, but I want to bring up a couple things he had mentioned, and he had talked about with Devontae Adams. Now, a lot of people, of course, when they were upset when he was done with Green Bay, comes over to Raiders. At one point, thought about maybe leaving the Raiders because he didn't like what was going on. But it's interesting to see and hear how he mentions as far as who he believes he would take if he was still available. And then he also talks about Aiden O'Connell as well. So here is the first one where Shannon Sharpe says, would you take Tom Brady if Tom Brady were still available? And I thought it was quite interesting of what he said here. Of course, he all tongue in cheek, but here's what Davante Adams had to say when Shannon Sharpe asked him the question.
How's Brady? Brady's
Hell, yes.
Oh, God damn! You ain't let me answer the question. You ain't let me finish the question, Tay.
I know exactly. Hey, I knew it when you said Tom Brady. I knew what you said. Let me see what he gonna say. And then you got to talk about Odie is I don't care. I don't care.
You would take Tom in 47, 48?
58 right now. Hey, nah, Tom know about how I feel about him, man. And the other part is I think I'll be the first person that played with Tom and Aaron. So that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's getting older, but I mean, he got to still be able to throw it better than, half these dudes in the league at this point, so.
But you better be able to protect him because he ain't going to be able to take them hits better.
And he ain't going nowhere either. He's going to sit right there in that pocket, so you better have a nice, secure little home for him in there. That's for sure.
Right. So there's that topic there, which I thought it was quite interesting. Again, credit to Shannon Sharpe on that cut there from Club Shay Shay. And then we're going to go back up here. And I want to get into, as I'm going to find here about, as long as I can, Aiden O'Connell here. So he mentions about Aiden O'Connell giving him his props for him as well. So this is about Aiden O'Connell, how he feels as Shannon Sharpe and Davante Adams get into it here, and make sure I bring up the proper screen. So if I do, or if I don't, then you guys won't be able to see it. So here is Davante Adams talking about Aiden O'Connell.
In your 2 years with the Raiders, you've gone 14-20. Haven't made the playoffs. Derek Carr, Jared Stidham, Jimmy G, Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell. Now it seems like Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew going to be fighting for the starting quarterback. Do you have the pieces at that position? Because it doesn't matter. You can go out there and you can run the best routes in the world. You can run the end cut, the dig, the dagger, the shake, all that. Right. Good. Right. Man, you see Davante run that route, had him on skates. But if that ball sails out of bounds, eventually Tay gonna get frustrated.
Right.
Cause bro, I'm putting in this work, I'm getting open, I'm winning, and I ain't gonna get no looks.
Yeah, man, it's always a tough conversation because when you talk about having the for sure answer, we don't know because we haven't seen Gardner in a Raider uniform. We've seen him make some plays, and we've seen it to a certain extent.
Jacksonville, Indy.
Exactly. He's definitely been out there and had some experience. Aiden, on the other hand, hasn't had near as much experience. He had to pick up, in an offense that's fit for a Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. It's an offense that you have to have an extremely high level execution to be able to make it work. Yeah. It's a lot of dink and dunk. It wasn't a lot of, it wasn't a million shots down the field. Right. I had much longer touchdowns in that offense, but it was honestly as a result of us figuring out on the fly. Like we said, trying to adjust and make it work. It was a lot of that. So when you got a guy, and me and Aiden talked about it at the end of last year, because I think we were in a hot tub and somebody asked him, like, what do you think about this offense? And he said himself, this offense just requires a really high level execution. You got to be able to really sustain a drive.
Right.
Like you don't get, just because you went, you capitalize on fourth down twice. You don't get 5 downs on the next one. You still got to move. So if you only done got 20 yards with 2 first downs,
right,
that's a lot of work you still got to do to get down there, especially if, the ball get nailed in the end zone. You starting way back there. Right. You can still get 3 first downs and punt the ball.
Right.
So, it's not, in a lot of offenses in these, especially today, these offenses explosive, man. You get 3 first downs, your ass done scored, basically. So, it's tough to do. You got to pick up in the middle of that as a young buck, and then you come in, the game that Jimmy gets hurt, he got to jump in and play against the Chargers, get sacked 6 times by the same freaking person. Like that's not easy, and right, he kind of got thrown into the fire a little bit. So I do believe in Aiden, and I think he's going to be able to feel a lot more comfortable. He looked pretty good in OTAs, and we're just going to continue to grow and learn from each other. And I've always been a big advocate for him because when he first came in real confident. balling in the OTA period and in preseason and showed everybody what he has the potential to do. So we just got to keep working, just like with me and Aaron. If you were trying to count your chickens before they hatch with me, then you wouldn't have had no eggs. Because my first 2 years wasn't exciting nobody to think that it was going to.
That you were going to turn out to what you turned out.
Exactly. So, I'm the main person sitting there saying, everybody relax. You gotta give time for the flower to grow. We watering it right now, and we're gonna ultimately see what happens with it. But it's hard to say for sure, like we're gonna win a Super Bowl right now. But we got a lot of work to put in still, and I think we got a good chance to get a lot better.
So you would say that the offense under Josh, it required a lot of patience and a lot of precision.
Correct.
Because hey, if you miss, but you got to be able to come back and do it over and over and over and over again. And a lot of times you're doing that without taking shots.
Exactly. And this game is about. And that's a lot of snaps too.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, when you got your team on the field for almost 80 plays, you're gonna be out there with a lot of folks and maybe hurt folks.
Right.
Now, if you can get out there and get some explosives and your defense is out there and getting the ball back to you, putting it in it, then now that's less plays. You stretching the field. The morale of the team is different because now you done got more confidence. Getting a first down, on fourth down is cool, and that can give you confidence. You want to have that in your bag of being able to, but you ain't trying to go down there scoring on.
You ain't gonna make a whole lot of living fourth down. This team goes for it the most on fourth down. And all that's gonna get you in trouble. That's gonna bite you in the butt eventually.
In Philly, that worked because they doing it different over there with the way they do it. But when it's 4th and 3 and you done ran the ball 3rd and 6 to get it shorter to do it like that, like that's just not the type of ball I believe in. I believe in being aggressive, especially when you had the personnel to do so.
So you guys just heard Davante Adams there. And listen, that the show that Shannon Sharpe puts together. Shannon Sharpe, who doesn't love Shannon Sharpe? He does such a fantastic job. But I really like, if you guys have not gone back, take a look again. Club Shay Shay, he's on X. That whole interview process of how he put together his podcast, he does such a terrific job. I think he's probably a lot more sharp than he is now, that he got away from where he was beforehand. But I thought he ended up doing a really good job there. Aiden O'Connell comes in. Everybody kind of knows this, and that, Devontae Parker, and of course he made fun of, took it lightly, I should say, when he was talking about having Tom Brady as his quarterback. And listen, a couple of years ago, right? He's been a year separated now from the game. He's going to go step into the broadcast booth. Quite the payday for never being a broadcaster, but he got a nice payday. You can't, I guess, hate the man. You could if you wanted to. I couldn't stand him as a Patriot. I kind of was okay with him being, I guess, here with the Bucs. But you guys know why. Just go back to Jacksonville, Patriots, Eagles. I'm glad we got redemption with Dougie P. Don't get me wrong, but that was enough to drive me absolutely bananas. But nonetheless, he talked about it in, how he thinks that Aiden O'Connell is a lot better than Gardner Minshew. We've seen Gardner Minshew now bounce around a bunch of different places. We saw the Jacksonville, Eagles, Indy, make his way over to LA, over to Las Vegas. I always want to say LA, but obviously Las Vegas. And I want to know, if Raiders fans, you guys are watching, I want to know how you feel. Do you like Gardner over Aiden? Is Aiden the one that you guys believe? Or was there another quarterback that maybe you guys thought that could end up potentially leading the Raiders? Davante Adams, who, as he mentioned, he would love to have played with Tom Brady. And then, you have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, he had mentioned, I'm going to bring up that sounder as well, as he talked about New York. And I know a lot of people are going to put a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers, because they feel that either you're going to get either the best out of Aaron Rodgers or you're going to get the subpar Aaron Rodgers. But camps are just starting up. So maybe we hit the brakes just a bit, right? Just kind of release the emergency brake, let it coast a little bit, and we'll see what ends up happening, because there's going to be a lot of talk coming up here. Eagles camp opens up today. There's a lot of camps that are finally getting underway, so we shall see. Also, kind of update you guys as well. My hermano Middays with Q will be back tomorrow from 12 to 2. So he'll be on tomorrow, and then Friday, he is traveling. I did forget he does. So over the weekend, in case you guys didn't know, he did 48 bouts, if I remember correctly, in boxing. There's also the playoffs in boxing as well. And I know he's heavily involved with that. So it's another travel day for him as he gets ready for this upcoming weekend, once again, for the boxing matches. But I forgot he did have a travel day, so that's on me. He will be back come Wednesday and then once again on Friday because he has to, again, get a lot of preparation as the boxing playoffs continue, not only in Florida, but Jersey and the surrounding areas. So it's interesting to hear what Davante Adams had to say. And again, I have no problem with it whatsoever. Davante Adams, I'm pretty sure there's tons and tons and tons of people who love to be on his team, to be a part of his team. We've known it for years that obviously he wants to play lights out, and he's going to continue to do so. Now, I'm trying to find, at the same time as I'm talking to you guys here, and you have the, if I can find it for you guys, Stephen A. Smith, as he talked about Lamar, Jim Harbaugh being a little bit hard on Lamar Jackson. He wasn't a fan of it. As I try to bring it up, he says he took issue with John Harbaugh's commenting regarding on the criticism of Lamar Jackson. Now, if this will play, so give me a second as I cue this up for you guys. But he talks about a little bit of appreciation here. Let me switch that over so you guys can hear. But, again, listen, Stephen A. Smith, love him or hate him, the guy's always been controversial, right? So now he talks about John Harbaugh about becoming the best quarterback in NFL history. But I'm still trying to find where the disconnect was between what Harbaugh said about Lamar Jackson. But here's what Stephen A. Smith had to say about the Ravens head coach. Let me cue up the sound. And we'll wait for the audio to play out here. So give us a second. And the video will end up playing as Pete likes to say, loading. We'll see if this one doesn't play. I'll find another one out, but it was playing a second ago. And of course, now it wants to make a monkey out of me. So let me give it a little bit of a refresh here and see what ends up happening. Hopefully we'll get it to play. Of course, shared by Awful Announcing. And if it comes back now, it's going to make a monkey out of me. Let's see.
Well, first of all, I would appreciate it if he doesn't make up narratives, because what he was saying was a lie.
What?
And number two, I'd like him to look in the mirror. I respect the hell out of John Harbaugh. I think he's a great coach. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's an elite coach in the National Football League, but he also is somebody that is known for being incredibly honest. We respectfully, Coach Harbaugh, what the hell are you talking about? What is this critique and this criticism of Lamar Jackson? Where is it coming from? There's only one. You haven't been to a Super Bowl. You haven't won a Super Bowl championship. You're a two-time league MVP. There are 9 people, Molly, 9 people that have won Super Bowl championship that have been two-time league MVPs, okay? Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Johnny Unitas, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Kurt Warner, and Patrick Mahomes. Every single one of them have won a Super Bowl championship but Lamar Jackson. That is all we say. Nobody questions his ability. We used to question his ability to throw the football. That's been thrown out the window. We know how electrifying and mercurial of an athlete and a talent and a runner at the quarterback position that he is. We know what type of a game changer this brother is. Lamar Jackson is elite when he got his money. Before he got his money, all of us were sitting here saying, wait a minute now, he deserves his bag. Now, be careful, because you negotiate it for yourself.
Yeah.
You understand? And your family members were a part of it. We were worried about that because the NFL can be a very complicated apparatus. But at the end of the day, we looked at him and nobody questioned that he deserved his money. Nobody questioned his greatness as a quarterback. Nobody questioned anything other than the fact that you have not won a Super Bowl. Now, let me.
So he got into a little bit more with some other stuff there, but thanks again to ESPN. Credit ESPN and ESPN First Take for that cut in the audio and video as well. I don't, and again, listen, what do I know? Again, I will play armchair quarterback all day long here, just being part of the broadcast media side of the world. Was it too much as far as like how he's judging Lamar Jackson? I don't think Harbaugh was like, what's the word I'm looking for here? He wasn't attacking Lamar Jackson. The points that we're trying to make, obviously he's gotten paid. Everybody knows he should have gotten paid. Yes, Is it a struggle in the playoffs? It is. Some athletes have taken a while before they finally come around into winning one. Lamar Jackson is still young. I believe he still hasn't yet to hit, truthfully, his prime. So I think the Ravens will end up getting there. They'll end up winning the Super Bowl. Stephen A. Smith, I know, like I said, Pete's not a super duper fan of Stephen A. Smith, but it's always controversy. And that's what it is. If think about it, folks, if we didn't have that, what else would we have to talk about? Because it's always filled with controversy. Stephen A. Smith, love him or hate him, obviously he went bananas when it came to New York Knicks and how the basketball playoffs happened this season. And that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. But Lamar Jackson is going to be just fine. The Buffalo Bills are going to be just fine. Every NFL team, for the moment, are going to be just fine. So I'm certain Stephen A. will go back and either, because he doesn't, it's rare he redacts stuff, but I want to see what he's going to, the follow-up to that conversation is going to be like. Speaking of, because I want to bring something up here. Let me bring it up to the NFL, and we'll get into some of the MLB games. So I want to make sure, let me scroll back up as I continue to play double duties here. By the way, like I said, if you guys had missed it, my hermano Rich Q will be back come tomorrow and on Wednesday. So here is a couple of things when it comes to the NFL. So we got a couple of NFL sounders here. One being where Baltimore, as you guys had just mentioned, talking about Stephen A. Smith, Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry on his impressions on a defense. And this is credit the Baltimore Ravens, as we're going to get a couple of sounders here starting from the Ravens. And you guys, your thoughts. Don't forget you can text in or call into the show 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. And you can also make your comments here live on our socials. So here is Derrick Henry on his impressions of the defense for on the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, they were definitely flying around today. Kyle, he's one of the best safeties in the league. Nate come from Clemson, being a top player, first round pick. That's what you expect out of him, and I'm excited to see them through training camp and see how better they get, put it all together as a defense. But it's definitely exciting to see them flying around making plays this early, for sure.
Everybody knows that once again the Ravens will end up being there. I don't think that's a mystery to anybody. But also, Derrick Henry talks about joining the Ravens and everything he imagined to be it so far. And this, again, credit to the Baltimore Ravens.
It's everything that I imagined. The work here, the culture, the brotherhood that they have. Grateful to be here. Excited for the opportunity. Putting the work in now in training camp, just so the things that we want to happen will happen, but not getting to like any possibilities or making any predictions. Just put the work in now and then let it all come together when it's time to suit up and we'll get some dubs.
So again, people got to be excited when Derrick Henry came across to the Ravens, and who is not excited that it actually happened. Here's also Derrick Henry, and he says the goal for the season is to win the Super Bowl. Why not? Because that's everybody's goal, including, by the way, the back-to-back Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl defending champions. But here's Derrick Henry. He talks about the goals for the season to win the Super Bowl. Again, credit the Baltimore Ravens.
Super Bowl. That's the goal. It's the goal, Super Bowl. I mean, that's always been the goal, but Super Bowl is definitely where I'm at now. So, yeah I done had, chances and got close, but that's what it is right now.
So he follows it up with reuniting with Roquan Smith. Here, again, credit to the Baltimore Ravens.
Man, it's fun. I played with Ro for 5 years, so just knowing the type of person he is, the type of player he is, the type of leader he is, and what he brings to the team and as well as the defense, every Sunday when he steps on the field. Just knowing his mentality, him going out there, flying around, making plays, wanting to put everything on his shoulder, wanting everybody to follow him and, kind of mirror him and how he plays the game. It's something special, and just to be back with him, man, to be reunited, it's cool.
Now you're going to get you guys are going to get a lot of sounders here from the Baltimore Ravens because, again, they're the hot topic for the moment as we're coming into the training camp. So you guys every day will hear something different when it comes to leading up into the preseason and then obviously into the regular season. But Eddie Jackson talks about, says that Derrick Henry is so big in person, it's like meeting a video game created player. And you hear a lot of these guys also talk about, too, how the college football game 25, how a lot of them end up playing it. So this is kind of in the similarity. This is, again, credit to the Baltimore Ravens.
Just D-Hand, he was looking like that since high school. So it's like, it doesn't surprise me. Like I was telling the guys today, man, when D-Hand first walked on the field, when I seen him at Alabama, I couldn't believe how big he was. You know, you seen a film, him being a Florida guy, then you seen him in person, is like he's a creative player off a game.
Now, here, as you guys had heard Stephen A. Smith getting kind of a little nuts there on John Harbaugh, but here's John Harbaugh on Eddie Jackson so far. Again, credit to the Baltimore Ravens.
Great demeanor, Eddie Jackson. Seems like he's picking up the defense. I mean, he's only been here for, a little over 24 hours or so, and he didn't make any mistakes today that I saw. So, but he's going to be digging in that playbook really hard, and he looks good.
So he's happy. The Ravens are happy. I'm pretty sure Ravens fans are extremely happy. Listen, the Ravens they're due for another one. Will it happen this year? Just like every team. Every team's goal this season is to what? Win a Super Bowl. Just like the Buffalo Bills, who, let's not forget, even though they haven't won one, but they went, 4 years in a row and lost. Maybe this year, finally, will be it for them. Without Stephon Diggs, though, it's going to be a little bit hard. And speaking about Stephon, here's linebacker from the Houston Texans, Azeez Al-Shaair, who found Stephon Diggs. And listen as he describes his phone, which seems kind of janky, but whatever. These guys are just having fun.
Yeah, it's Stephon phone. It's all cracked up and stuff. Yeah, go ahead, give it. There you go. Tell me you need to get a new phone. You got all that money. Get a new phone.
And a lot of folks that listen, everybody knows when you drop your phone or something else, the worst part is, number one, not only to turn it in with Apple, for example, you'll turn it in, and then, they don't send you, unfortunately, a loaner. So if you don't have a loaner, you're kind of screwed. So then you have to hope to go to one of the stores and maybe have them do it, or you bite the bullet and you go to a place where they repair the phones for you, your screen, because it's not for nothing, but AT&T is kind of little tough when it comes to certain things to deal with. The same way, if your Apple Watch goes bananas, like mine did the one time I went to go trade it in, it took a while for me to finally be able to get it. But he mentions about the phone and how he should get a new one. Also, staying here with the Houston Texans, Stephon Diggs says that Derek Stingley Jr. is one of the best defensive backs in the league, and he thinks rookie Kamari Lassiter could be ready right now. This is credit to Nick Schwager on X.
You kind of talk about bringing people along with you. One of the guys is you've gotten conversations after practice with Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter. Yeah. Just what does it mean to be going up against those two young cornerbacks, but also why is it important to build out that relationship on the defensive side?
Those are people I'm going to see every day, competing at a high level. I actually think Sting is, and I won't even, shake when I say that. I think he's one of the best DBs in the league, especially from talent level. And he's fast, he can run, he can break, and he compete at a high level throughout his career. So for me, just going in each and every day with a mindset of getting them better, like not only competing one-on-one. Yeah, I want to do you in the worst way, but it's out of love. You know what I'm saying? And even the young Lassiter is, as they say, bringing in a guy that's ready. He could be ready. You know what I'm saying? He might even be ready right now. He's a guy that's, takes it day by day, technique, sound, seeking knowledge, and want to compete at a high level, and he ain't running from it. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking my junk to him a little bit, just to kind of get him going.
So listen, Houston, Texas, everybody know that was probably the biggest surprise team with CJ Stroud last year. Huge surprise. Everybody pretty much thought, and let me not say just my opinion. In my opinion, I thought that the Texans would end up having a rebuild year. Brand new head coach, brand new rookie quarterback. Who saw what the Texans were going to do last season? Now, does that mean that they have a so-called NFL target on their back? Probably not. And I don't think the Texans are really kind of feeling that either. They just want to come back and play off of their success from last season. You're also chasing the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills, the rebuild of the New England Patriots, which that's going to be interesting. And I never thought in my lifetime what I would have even said that I want to see what the Patriots are going to end up doing. But again, new QB, possibly, definitely new head coach, basically a rebuild of an organization in so many loosely terms. But, the Texans want to pick up exactly where they left off last season. My great brother out in Houston, Big Sarge. Also, if you guys can follow us well, Big Sarge on X covers the Houston Texans. And I hope one of these days from Total Sports, goodness gracious, from Total Sports Prep, that he will be having his sounder up here one day as well. And I'm pretty sure he will. He always asks a great amount of questions, been doing and hustling really big for Houston, who also covers Houston Rockets and also covers the Astros as well. But now flipping over, and I'll probably give you guys here a little bit of bonus time since my Amano will not be here until tomorrow. Pete's off, and he should be back again tomorrow morning. Of course, he is spending his time with Chara, his dog of 13 years, and rightfully so, because, again, you guys had heard me say this in the very beginning top of the show around the 10 o'clock hour that Pete is taking some time off. He took yesterday off and today as well to spend some time with his dog, with Chara, and his wife, Elaine, because they want to make sure that whatever time they have left with Chara, that they want to make the best of it and write some stuff off the bucket list, what they can do with it. Because if you guys had never heard Chara, beautiful dog. Debbie and I were very fortunate to have met Chara, and you can't, just very lovable dog. So Pete should be back tomorrow, barring any changes, but he should be back tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. So switching gears here momentarily from Houston, you guys heard me mention this around at 10:20ish in the morning about Aaron Rodgers, as there's always talk about him, what he thought about, things about where the Jets play, and also kind of like when people want to kind of cancel him out and some other stuff. So here's a couple of sounders when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, again, from the New York Jets. And he says that everyone tries to cancel him when he goes near any politician. This is credit, pardon my take, over on ESPN.
Wait, I saw your t-shirt. It wasn't that great.
Okay. Which one?
The one that went way far off to the right.
What hole?
Like your politics?
It
It
was
was 10, yeah.
That was bad.
It did go far right.
I love when people try and cancel me. Like, it's when I played golf with Obama, I was like the leftist, or the right trying
Yeah.
to cancel me.
Just
Then
put you in a box.
Then I was on Team Kennedy, so everybody tried to cancel me politically. And then I didn't shake Trump's hand, so the right tried to go after me again.
Yeah.
You're your own man.
And I realized I actually had shaken his hand.
Yeah, and then they reverse course.
They tried
Yeah.
to reverse course a little bit.
People are unfair to Aaron Rodgers. I've always been
Oh, I don't
consistent
care
with
about
you.
that. I think politics, I've said from the beginning, is an absolute sham.
Yeah.
And if we've seen anything, whether it's you talking about what they did to Bernie Sanders in 2016 that we saw in the Podesta emails, or the fact that nothing really ever changes.
Nothing changes.
All they do is just talk about what they're going to do, and then nothing. And life doesn't actually get better for any of us, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. And we're still just doing the same fucking two-party system and not letting Bobby get in or anybody else.
Yeah, PFT and I have
Speak on it.
always said, if you want to be president, you should be disqualified.
I like that.
Yeah.
You're just basically an egomaniac.
You have to be a psycho to want to be president.
Right.
And to actually
But just
follow
some
through on that.
common sense politics, some common sense, like let's not let anybody over 75. I mean, the Packers have a rule.
Yeah.
70, you got to retire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You go into a
They just
board
did that,
emeritus,
yeah.
but 70, you got to retire.
Yeah.
That seems to make pretty good sense.
That's what he says, right? He talks about politics, and he supposedly doesn't get into it. Listen, everybody knows when it comes to sports and politics, separate the two. Just have fun with the sports. I know we love to talk about it. Don't get me wrong. If we're together amongst friends, family, whatever, say what you want to say. But obviously, he made a statement there saying that people try to cancel him out just because he talks about it. And who doesn't? There's a lot of people that just don't like when it's talked about in anywhere in the sports mecca. So hopefully no one will have a problem and they'll leave him alone with that one as well. But also he talks about, meaning Aaron Rodgers, about running out with the American flag last year was one of the most coolest moments of his career. And this is, again, credit to part of my take from ESPN.
Did you ever watch back the video of you with the
Or
American
Fox,
flag?
excuse
Because
me.
it was badass.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Did you watch that
As
back?
somebody who's patriotic, who sings the national anthem,
Yes.
you have to respect that moment.
It was like a 9/11 coming out with the flag.
It's one of those moments where you're thankful you didn't do something real stupid. Right before that, I'm thinking, my dumbass, this is my 19th season. I've never run on the field with anything.
Right.
Just run out there, do my low fives, and move on. But I almost didn't run out there with it.
Yeah, really?
I saw everybody I thought it was going to be like a couple guys. Well, the first guy introduced takes one out, and maybe Garrett takes one out. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Then I saw everybody take one. I was like, here, give me that thing. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no,
it was badass.
Awesome.
It was
dude.
very
It was
good.
one of the coolest moments of my career.
Say again what you want to say, whatever. I had no problem with him doing so. I thought it was what was even funnier were some people when they had mentioned when he got the injury, as he was running through the flag, that was the only play that he had during the last season. Again, we all make fun of whatever. We all make fun of it. It is what it is, but it was the coolest thing for him. So since my hermano's not coming on today, I'm going to give you guys a little more of the bonus time here with Martinez and company. Normally, I would be signed off at this point because of the gentleman being off this morning, Pete Shepard. When you start off the day with Pete Shepard in the morning from 7 to 10 a.m., and of course, my hermano comes on right after me here, Middays with Q with Rich Quinones on the Coastal Sports Network. So we're going to take a break here. We'll come back. We'll get a couple more sounders because there was a lot of good ones that came out today. So we'll get into some more of these sounds from the NFL, from the AFC. There are going to be a couple from the AFC as we end up wrapping up the show. But we thank you all for tuning in. Once again, Martinez coming here on the Coastal Sports Network. Don't forget to visit sr1029thegame.com. Download the app directly from the website. Therefore, you guys won't miss anything. You can listen to the show, watch the show, text the show, call the show, all from the app. And you can always call or text into the show at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. Also, this one thing when it comes to McDonald's, I'll give you an update about that. Some people like it, some people don't enjoy it, but I'll give you an update about McDonald's and what they're planning on doing. And then the weird story that came out of Philadelphia, which I don't understand what people are doing. So you're listening live. I am Angel Martinez. Martinez and Company will be back right after this.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Andersen windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Andersen windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, IonTP.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game app and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
Welcome back to Martinez and Company. We'll give you some bonus time today because Middays with Q will be back tomorrow from 12 to 2 p.m. Pete Shepard will be back as well from 7 to 10 a.m. So I'm going to give you guys a little bonus time. We thank you all for tuning in today to the Coastal Sports Network. I am Angel Martinez, CEO, host, executive producer, co-host, you name it, I do it. As we are live here on the Coastal Sports Network, headquartered in Tampa, Florida. And we thank you all for supporting us, for downloading the apps, following us on the socials. Don't forget you can follow us on X at CSN Florida. Also on SR1029 The Game with Pete. You can follow him at Pete Shep 326. And of course, my hermano, I'm seeing some breaking news coming in here. For my hermano, Rich Q on Q. And you can follow us also on Instagram at the Coastal Sports Network and on Facebook at Coastal Sports Network as well. So we thank you for tuning in. Don't forget you can call and or text into the show 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650, and you can make your comments here live on our social medias. Thank you for folks tuning in from LinkedIn, also from Rumble, and all over the social medias minus Instagram. And you guys have heard me mention it earlier that hopefully Zuckerberg one day will release it where we can do more than just a 1-hour live show on Instagram, especially away from the porch and road and into landscape mode, because more of the area is better off for everybody else. Now, before I get into some of the sounders here from the AFC and the NFC, going back to Aaron Rodgers for a second, I talked about a story, and I'm going to bring up this video because what is going on, Philly? Born, raised, love to see where I come from, but what are we doing? Now, this was from a couple of days ago, and I'm going to read you the story, but I'm going to show you the video. And honest to goodness, it makes zero sense to me whatsoever. I just don't understand what's going on. And listen, credit to the new mayor, Mayor Parker. She is trying to do what she can to rebuild this city. I'm going to show the video and then I'm going to bring up the article. This just doesn't make any freaking sense. Now, I don't believe there's any sound that goes along with it. I could be wrong, but here's the video. And then I'll mention it. You guys can see they blurred the person in the video, but just watch what happens. It just doesn't make any sense. Just doesn't make any sense. Now, again, if you guys missed it, I'll play the audio again. They're doing the description of what the person looks like. And if anybody has any information, to go ahead and play it. But here's the audio once again. Philly, I hope to get things turned around. Here's the video once again. Now, why? Why did that happen? And this just doesn't make, honest to God, any sense whatsoever. But here's the article that follows that story. Mind-boggling. This is from USA Today. Credit to USA Today for the story here. Woman shoots baby in the leg over, get this, folks, a $100 drug debt, police say. Meaning that she owed this drug pusher, alleged, $100. It doesn't make any sense. A Philadelphia woman is accused of shooting a 7-month-old baby in the leg for $100 in narcotics debt. DEBT, in case you guys can't understand exactly what I'm saying. Police said Dominique Billups, 28, was arrested Friday and formally charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault, reckless endangerment of a person, and other offenses, Lieutenant Dennis Rosenbaum said Saturday during a news conference. Quote, sometimes the things we see are mind-boggling, Rosenbaum said about the shooting. People get so angry, they always resort to nonsense. I just don't understand it. According to the lieutenant, the child is in stable condition and has been since released from the hospital. What are we doing, folks? Honest to God, what are we doing? Doesn't make any sense. Why? Are we really going down this rabbit hole that deep? That we, first of all, no one should be doing drugs in the first place. Let's get that right out in the forefront. No one should be doing drugs. But for you to actually come up because a person owed you $100, you shoot the baby, that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. It's incredible. Honest to God, it's just incredible. And before we get back to as well, another thing that I end up teasing for those, I believe, who frequent McDonald's, which I don't have a problem with that. Courtesy here of the dailymail.com, McDonald's confirms changes to its $5 meal deal. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, because guess what? Everybody loves to save money, right? Things are high and expensive. And I think I'm a fan of McDonald's. I'm not going to lie. I like it. But McDonald's $5 value meal will be extended through the rest of the summer at most of its restaurants. More than 9 in 10 locations have vowed to keep offering the 4-item bundle longer than the initial period that was due to end tomorrow. So it's nice to see. And if you guys have the McDonald's app, of course you can. Normally there's a meal deal in there, but I actually like you can walk into McDonald's, physically talk to the person and say that you want the meal deal. Now, what's in the deal? Well, either a McChicken or a McDouble, a 4-piece chicken, nugget, fries, and a drink. And that was rolled out to offer meaningful value to customers. So last week, the dailymail.com reported McDonald's was working with the franchisees to extend the deal, but the company played down the plans. Thankfully now, they are keeping it around. So I just thought it would be something for you guys, those who like to save money. Of course, we all do. I think Burger King also has like a $5 meal deal or something else like that. But hey, listen, we all try to save money whichever way we can. Of course, we love to cook at home, but I just thought I'd bring that up momentarily. So you're welcome. Hopefully McDonald's will get some more people out of it. Not as if they need some more, but whichever way. Anyways, so as we went into the break, I talked about Aaron Rodgers from New York Jets. He talked about how much it meant to him running the American flag out to the field. So here's what Aaron Rodgers from your New York Jets says about the Jets playing in New Jersey and not New York, and why they are, I guess, the New Jersey Jets. We, as fans in Philly, have talked about this for years. I know my Mono might get upset about this, but this is, again, credit to pardon my take.
I know that stadium used to be on Long Island, but we're the New Jersey Jets.
Yeah.
So are the Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants play in New Jersey.
There's only one team that plays in New York.
Yeah.
It's the Buffalo Bills.
And does anybody have a problem with that? They've been in New Jersey for it's been East Rutherford. Giants, Jets. They should be New Jersey. They should be, but I understand because of the history behind it, blah, blah, blah. But I just thought it was funny that he said something that a lot of us up in the tri-state area have talked about for many, many years. Then Aaron Rodgers follows it up with, he wants to retire a Jet. I wanted to do 2 good years, then retire as a Jet. Give us 2 Super Bowls. Well, maybe not. Do we all believe he's going to retire as a New York Jet? Which then means that Green Bay Packers fans, you guys should be more upset. Here's Aaron Rodgers on why he feels like he should retire as a Jet. Credit to part of my take.
How many more years?
I don't know. I'm not sure. This one for sure.
This one for sure.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
How many more years?
I don't know. I'm not sure. This one for sure.
This one for sure.
I wanted to do 2 good ones, and to give us a chance to retire a Jet. Win 2 Super Bowls.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be
Yep.
great.
And then do the Kyle Orton.
Yeah.
Is that how walk off?
Is that how you
Sure.
retire?
Legend, of course.
Just like take a sip of psychedelic tea and just disappear in the locker room.
Oh, I like
just
that.
fade
It was
away.
all an illusion.
Yeah.
Rainbow body.
Yeah. Was Aaron Rodgers ever real?
Yeah.
He was
I'll be happy to say no.
This is a simulation. So what is
right,
What is
exactly.
What are we
No,
talking
you're
about?
right.
Does anybody believe that he would actually retire as a New York Jet? I mean, let's not for nothing. How did it work out for you last year? Again, I'm just playing armchair quarterback, just my opinion. So we have to see what you're going to do with New York Jets as long as you remain healthy. But for the fans who support you in Green Bay, you literally are saying that you will retire as a New York Jet. You guys heard me mention last week how I felt that Andy Reid, I would love for him to retire where he started in Philly. But you won 3 in KC, possibly 4. I can't hate the man if he's going to retire Kansas City Chiefs because of what he's done out there. I love what he did for the Eagles when he was with the organization. But as fans, sure, we'll be a little butthurt. You guys have heard me mention that word before. We'll get over it because he's probably and more than likely going to retire as a Kansas City Chief. So, Aaron, say what you want to say. I don't know. Green Bay Packer fans, I would absolutely love to get your opinion. Now, here's Dan Graziano on what makes Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, if they don't make the playoffs, he can just say they did. And this is because of the time he took off prior to camp and all that good fun stuff. This is credit to ESPN.
You know what's really comforting is that if they don't make the playoffs, he can just say, well, the media said we didn't make the playoffs. We actually did. They can say whatever we want, but we won the Super Bowl. So you know that. So now he's all set.
See, he's poo-pooing. He's a poo-pooer.
Let's see him play.
That's Dan's
Can we see him
problem.
play? Can we stop listening to what he says and actually watch him play?
My thing is,
I'm eager to see it.
So some of the guys are getting frustrated. Because they're just getting tired of it. They just want to see him play. I get it. I understand it. I think this NFL season is going to be a lot of fun because there's going to be a lot of storylines that are going to come from every club that's out there. Finally, now, Aaron Rodgers on Chicago, right? On the Bears offense. I think the team is almost good enough to beat the Packers. And he says almost good enough. Again, credit, part of my take.
Thank you. You're out of my life. Let's
And-
start.
But then the Bears lost to J Love and the Packers twice last year.
I got some other issues I'm dealing with that are not. It doesn't pertain to you anymore.
Good.
I got other issues. I'm working through that.
Found new love.
We got a new quarterback. I'm going to figure out.
How are we feeling? Feeling good about Caleb and all
So
the
good.
changes?
So good.
DeAndre Swift and
You like him. You like Caleb.
Keenan.
You think Caleb's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I like Swift. I like Keenan.
DJ.
I like the receiver from
Yeah.
Washington. He's
Yeah.
good,
Rome.
Oh, and then of course you still got DJ.
Yeah. DJ. So
And Eberflus.
I think the
looking
team
good.
is almost good enough to beat the Packers.
you got out at the right time.
Almost good enough.
Come on. You got out at the right time. You knew that it was changing. So you're like, I got to get
I
out of
don't
here.
know about that.
So you can finish with your
Who they got
record.
on defense? Montez.
Montez
yeah,
Sweat.
Montez Sweat.
Montez
Our
really good.
secondary is pretty
I
good.
like Edmonds. Edmonds is
Yeah.
a good player.
We're gonna be.
Yeah.
And I know that you're.
I think it'll
kinda-
be a close game with the Packers.
I don't
could be
like how you're
close.
doing.
Do you
this.
take any? You
I don't
still
like how
take
you're
any
doing
pleasure
this.
when the Packers beat the Bears? Or are you
Oh,
like
yeah,
yes?
I love it. Yeah. Love it.
But you're a Jet now.
I am.
Once you're.
So, and listen, to somewhat kind of Aaron's defense, he was Dallas's daddy. You guys have heard me say that before too. 2 years, Dallas took him out. And then Jordan Love last year, Green Bay still Dallas's daddy until proven otherwise. But he's right. Jordan Love, right, took out Green Bay, ended up taking out Dallas. But we'll see. Again, and then now switching gears into, because of, as we had just mentioned about Jordan Love, here's a couple of sounders about Jordan Love and how people feel, and you're going to get this from different commentary, what they feel about Jordan Love holding out of camp because he wants to get paid. So we're going to start out with the first one here. This is Adam Schefter says Jordan Love could become the highest paid quarterback in NFL history by the end of the week. And this is credit to the Pat McAfee show. If you guys have not seen the clip, it is up there also on X. So here is Schefter on what he thinks about Jordan Love.
You had asked me about Jordan Love, though.
Yes.
And basically, they told the Packers on Saturday this was the deal. But when you have a guy there, and the GM Brian Gutekunst is on board with that and saying that they're optimistic about getting the deal done, and they understand why he's not practicing, like that's a sign that they're trying to get this worked out. I think both sides think they can get it worked out. It's not done. It could go either way still, but I think by the end of the week, my guess would be that Jordan Love will have a new contract that probably makes him one of the, if not the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. He'll be right there. But they're trying to get that done. It's not done yet. And so the prudent thing is to hold him out because he's not missing much early on the first few days until they get the pads on.
That's right.
And then he'll be there. He was there during the offseason, took part in all the drills then, but they're close enough on this deal now that it doesn't make sense for him to be a part of practice. So, again, they're going to try to get that done. My guess is they do get it done. We'll see if they can figure out a way to get it done by the end of the week.
Now, here's Christian Watson on Jordan Love being held out of practice. He's got to handle what he's got to handle. You know, we're supporting him 100%. This is credit to Fox 6 now in Milwaukee. So a lot of support for Jordan Love.
I mean, he's here, in every meeting. He was here every day in the off season. So, I mean, he's still there. There's a business side to the game as well. I've said that already, but I mean, he's got to handle what he's got to handle, and we're supporting him 100%. I mean, he's our guy. We love him. We love the way he approaches every single day. So, whenever he gets, whatever he needs to handled, we're going to be waiting for him. But, until then, we're going to control what we can control. We got two guys out there who are slinging the rock too. So, we're going to help them get better. And obviously, they're going to help us get better. Just keep on chopping.
Now, like baseball, right? You got a curveball. Maybe we can kind of resemble it to Patrick Mahomes and a little sidearm here because kind of a little twisted here, but Ian Rappaport says that the Packers prioritized Kenny Clark's extension over Jordan Love's. Why? You'll hear it now. This is credit to the NFL Network.
They did a big-time deal for a big-time defensive star. Maybe not a household name. If you watch Green Bay Packers football, you know how good Kenny Clark is at football, and he has been paid already in his career. He got a big-time extension just a couple years in. Now he gets another one, 3 years, $64 million, one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the NFL. For the nose tackle, gets $29 million in year one in this deal, done by Doug Henderson and C.J. LeBoy of Wasserman. And for the Green Bay Packers, you're right. It's obvious Jordan Love is priority number one, making sure that Kenny Clark was paid. And this is a guy, Brad Gutekunst said today, he wishes all players were like. He's a leader. He's a locker room guy. He loves football. Getting this done was very important to them.
Now, I'm not saying obviously they're not prioritizing maybe one over the other, but this one you hear Ian Rappaport saying that maybe Kenny Clark was a priority over Jordan Love, but it doesn't also necessarily mean that they're not going to, take Jordan's contract serious as well. But here's also Mark Murphy on Jordan Love's contract negotiations. I'm optimistic that we'll be able to work something out, and this is also credit to WFRV TV Green Bay, in Green Bay.
The excitement it's definitely real. And, it's just, we've had, you look back over the 17 years, oftentimes there's been, issues about, lockouts or, potential labor stoppages and holdouts and things of that nature. But yeah, well, I'm glad nobody's asked me about Jordan Love. So thank you very much. I brought that up myself. But no, I'll just say on that. I know Brian has talked about it. I think Matt has as well. I just echo what they said that we want to get a deal done. I know Jordan and his representatives want to get a deal done, and I'm optimistic that we'll be able to work something out.
So everybody's optimistic. I want to see why not. Jordan Love is going to get paid no matter which way you look at it. And we'll leave the last sounder off here again from Green Bay. Sean Clifford says Jordan Love isn't missing a beat despite contract talks. He's not in California. He's here. He's at every single meeting. This is credit to Fox 6 now in Milwaukee.
But I think he's handling it really well. I think the one thing I would say about Jordan is he's not in California. He's here. He's at every single meeting. He's been through all of OTAs. And now he's just, he's got to handle what he's got to handle. But he's in the meetings. He's going to be at the walkthroughs. He's not missing a beat. He's talking to me. He's out there at practice. So it speaks volumes of who he is and his character. So.
Again, there's a lot of people that are going to be, and again, rightfully so, they're all supporting. Jordan Love's not going to go anywhere. Everybody knows this. It'll be fine. Green Bay fans, I understand it. Everybody, sometimes you can get upset because you hope that a lot of this stuff doesn't happen. But we've seen this. Agents, players, it's a thing. We saw it with Zeke Elliott years ago when he decided, but the only difference was at least Jordan Love, I will say that he's there at practice versus Zeke decided that let me go to Dallas and then do it let me go to Mexico and then tell my agent exactly what I wanted. And then let's see if it happens, right? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But it's the world that we live in now with the athletes and the agents, people getting paid, so on and so forth. So Jordan Love would be fine. I'm quite sure as the week progresses, there'll be more talks about it. Hopefully Green Bay will want to get it done before the kickoff to the season. I also believe that Jordan Love knows, yes, you are doing well, but you also have to tread a little lightly, because if Green Bay doesn't really feel that they need to give you top dollar, maybe they say franchise tag, or I'll say, well, we'll talk at the end of the season. And then maybe at the end of the season, you're no longer around, because we're going to see there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks, and we're going to see what's going to happen here throughout the season. So I think that they'll get a deal done for Jordan Love. I don't know how much will end up being. It's going to be up there, I believe. If they believe he is a quarterback in the future, and obviously Aaron Rodgers, I mentioned something about it too, and everybody else. So we'll see. We shall see exactly the way it ends up playing out. So thank you all for tuning in today. I really do appreciate it. Some bonus time here. Martinez Company. I am Angel Martinez, CEO of Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game, of course, of Coastal Sports Network, and a division all of Broad Street South, which I had started some years ago. Thank you all for visiting SR1029thegame.com. Don't forget to download the all-new digital sports app so you guys don't miss a thing when you download the app. Also, don't forget to turn on the notifications. Therefore, you won't miss, a new feature update that could be coming to the website itself, the app itself, or anything. Also, some guests that are coming up here in the next week, and some new additions that are going to be added here to the network. Don't forget to check out the schedule on the website so you guys can never miss any of the shows, like Jonathan Marshall and his brother Josh, Marshall Time Podcast. That comes on at 2:30 in the afternoons. Soon, you guys will be hearing the Nats podcast all over again with Dan Holmley, who also does a great job with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Minute podcast. He gives some great insight. There'll be other shows that will be coming back here on the network as the football season gets ready and exciting. Also, Talking Hoops, the crew will be on tomorrow. Coach Johnson, Coach Mack, Ron Briscoe, 8 p.m. tomorrow night here on the Coastal Sports Network. And of course, Lloyd Vance had his show last night. That is on Monday nights at 8 p.m. here on the Coastal Sports Network. There's more shows yet to come, more people yet to come, as we are adding more here to the network. And I can't thank you guys enough for the love and the support, and telling your friends to also follow us at CSN Florida on X, Coastal Sports Network on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, you guys can find all that information over on the website. So thank you all for tuning in today. We do appreciate it. Pete should be back tomorrow morning with the Pete Shepard Show from 7 to 10 a.m. He's taking some days off to make sure he spends his precious moments with Chara, his dog, who's been a fan favorite of the show here of the network as well, with Elaine. Everyone, when you say a prayer tonight, please say one for Chara, because she means the world to him, his friends, and to us, who've gotten the pleasure of being here as well. Because as I've mentioned before, some people prefer to have their animals as their children than to bring a child into this world, because they just feel that they make a better parent to an animal than they would to another person. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So thanks to that. Also, my hat off to Brittany Griner, who decided to change course and say that she is proud to stand for the national anthem, also for daunting the red, white, and blue at the Paris Olympics. So thank you, Brittany, for that as well. Don't forget, we'll be back here tomorrow along with my hermano, Rich Q. He is off today because it is another travel day for him and his boxing. So my hermano, Rich Q, will be back here tomorrow from 12 to 2 p.m. Again, check out the entire lineup over on the Coastal Sports Network at SR1029thegame.com. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening in for the last 2.5 hours. I will catch you all tomorrow. Have yourself a great rest of the sports day, and we thank you all. See you later.